In this episode of the Think Media Podcast, we're going to be talking about how to turn what you know into a profitable career.
I was looking at data from my business, and I realized that 85% of our orders were coming a year after somebody gave me their email address. And the reality is people will forget that you exist if you don't remind them.
And if you're already posting content on YouTube, maybe you have a smaller audience or a smaller channel, size really doesn't matter if you have the right strategy. We're going to actually be breaking down how to do $100,000 plus per year.
Romantic relationships, friendships, relationships with brands, relationships with politicians, they all work in three phases.
What are the biggest mistakes people make when writing emails and following up?
Well, the biggest mistake is they don't do it. I give you several categories of goals to set for your business in the book, but let me give you two that are really important. The first is the most important, and that is...
In this episode of the Think Media Podcast, we're going to be talking about how to turn what you know into a profitable career. And if you're already posting content on YouTube, maybe you have a smaller audience or a smaller channel, size really doesn't matter if you have the right strategy. And we're going to actually be breaking down how to do $100,000 plus.
saber qué es lo que fui. No me levanto de la cama. Por las noches la policía sigue mis sueños.
I'm looking for the train station. It's 2 blocks up and then you turn right. No, I don't think so. Hold on a second.
Right away. We're into it. So that's a yes for Saturday or a no?
I will be there.
All right, I'll play.
Show up. Glad to have you back. Love you.
Dance, all in the trance, all over around the world. 'Cause I want to. One time for the girls that's marching forward. 2 times for the boys that's walking forward. 3 times for the ones who what they want to. Each time when I'm on do what I want to. All the things I want, no need to hide from. No need to hide from. Set my soul on fire from. All the things I want, I'm willing to die for.
How to do $100,000 plus per year, and really 8 practical steps for that. My guest today is Donald Miller, author of Coach Builder and other classics like Building a Story Brand. And I'm super fired up for this conversation with Donald. How's it going?
Wonderful. Yeah, thankful to be here.
So I just finished your new book, Coach Builder. And the big idea here is that when it comes to starting a YouTube channel, a lot of times people think about ad revenue and things like that. ad. And oftentimes a full-time career off of just YouTube ads might not only be a long ways out, it probably might be never for a lot of people, because you're getting pennies for your views. But so many people listen to this that are educators, that are maybe have experience they don't realize they have, that they could in turn turn into coaching or something like that. So can you give us the big idea? You really help business coaches in this book, but you expand it out to what it could be like. You have some experience. What's the big idea and the opportunity when it comes to coaching?
The idea is knowledge is worth something, because knowledge helps people make money, save money, experience less frustration. Just recently, I went through a little health transition, trying to figure some things out. Nothing critical at all, but I realized, wow, I'd love to pay somebody $800 a month to help me understand, this MRI and this and all that kind of stuff. We need a concierge medicine coach, but they don't exist. And I thought, well, there you go. We have all these nurses who are underpaid, who could actually be moonlighting as concierge coaches for 5 or 6 clients and probably double their salary. I had an experience with my home, married with a baby, and realized, okay, I need a front gate, I need a security system, all that kind of stuff. I wish there was a police officer or a former military who could come to my house and take me through a checklist on everything I needed to do. What do I do with my weapons, and how do I keep them safe from the kids, and all those sorts of things. So now you have underpaid police officers and former military, underutilized with their knowledge, professionalizing their wisdom and productizing it in such a way that it's helpful to the world. That's what Coach Builder is about. We talk a lot about business coaching because people understand business coaches, but there are so many people who have wisdom, and a lot of them, they go to YouTube and they start sharing that wisdom without realizing you can do this for advertising revenue. That's really terrific, but you can also actually create a menu of products and sell them for $2,000, $3,000, $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 a pop, and actually make a lot of money. And now your YouTube presence is promoting something that is really good for the world.
That's so powerful. And I'm curious, how big is the opportunity from the angle of, I think it's a new idea that people would actually pay for knowledge, right? To some, like, how much can I charge? How much they may hear numbers, oh, that wouldn't work for me. But what's actually happening out there?
Well, it's not a new idea in the sense that, consulting firms like Accenture and KPMG have been making billions and billions and billions of dollars. The new evolution is that the average person is now able to do that, just like YouTube. I mean, media was something when I grew up, it was 5 channels. You actually physically clicked the dial to get some other frequency. And now it's just democratized. And so I think wisdom is also being democratized. And I'm telling everybody listening, get in on it, because people are now very, very much used to it. My wife works with a woman named Nicole Burke with an organization called Gardenary that she started. Her vision is to make gardening ordinary. And Nicole came over, helped us with our kitchen garden, helped us know what the spring planting would be, spent a day with us. She makes $1 million a year giving gardening advice. She has no degree in gardening. She just discovered it when she started her own garden. She realized she's got an incredible green thumb. She had so much lettuce she had to pass around in the community, and that's a great free advertising. So these ladies said, how are you growing this lettuce? Teach me. And she's making $1 million a year with that knowledge now. So I think it's, wisdom is being democratized, but there's things that you need to do if you want to coach or consult for a living, apart from just giving your advice away for free. There's a system to it, and the Coach Builder is that system.
Well, I'm excited to talk through those 8 steps, at least at a high level. But in the beginning of the book, you compare 2 options, and you say, personally, what would you rather have? A master's in business from a prestigious university versus hiring a coach? You recommended hiring a coach. Why do you say that?
Well, I mean, I don't want to throw prestigious universities under the bus. Probably not a good idea. There's a lot of R&D in the sciences and the medical community that come out of universities. A lot of the drugs that we take that are saving lives and possibly not saving lives, but come out of the medical community. All rocket engines came out of the university system. I think when it comes to business, big universities tend to do a pretty good job preparing you to be chairman of the Fed, but not a very good job running a small business. And so if you got a mom and pop shop and you want to grow a business, I think shutting that down and going back to college is not an option. And I think if you did shut it down and go back to college, you wouldn't learn very much about how to grow that business. You'd learn about, the future and artificial intelligence and these sorts of things, but probably not how to read a P&L statement and make good decisions. So hiring a business coach is just a better move at that point. But again, if you want to be a doctor, you need to go to school. So nothing against the university system. But I think that having somebody that you can talk to on a weekly basis about the decisions that you're trying to make, who have been there a little bit before you and made the mistakes that they don't want you to make, is invaluable. When I look back on the hockey stick growth periods that I've had, one of the reasons for some of those hockey stick periods of growth is because of I met a person, and the person taught me X. And I can name those people. I can name them. Greg Harris taught me about publishing. Doug Kime taught me about systematizing and professionalizing an operation. Governor Haslam here in Tennessee became a friend and taught me about leadership. There were people associated with those, and none of them were university professors. They were practitioners.
So getting to people with experience, and you have a lot of experience in this area. And of course, we're going to go through these tips, but on page 31, you talk about how to build a $150,000 coaching business in under 24 months. And you say, what if people feel weird about asking for this kind of money for coaching? For those, as we break down these steps, because I really want our community to lean in, you walk through a system for this, and this might seem just crazy for somebody like that hasn't broken into that yet, or maybe in their career they're making 80K, which is awesome. But even to hear a number like, wait, in 24 months I could be doing 150 plus, and towards the end of the book you talk about reverse engineering 7 figures. I know you really break down the specific math, but like where does that money come from? Like, what are the numbers? What could that look like?
Yeah, well, first of all, let's deal with the mindset of asking ourselves, are we really worth $150,000 to share information, especially information that you could probably get on YouTube or on the internet or a book on Amazon? The reality is you could probably get all the information that you need to make $150,000, or the person that you're selling your consulting services to can get everything they need for free. But they can't get it from a human being, one-on-one. They can't get it from somebody who's empathetic, who's going to listen to them, and who's going to nuance that information for them. If you're a business coach, for example, you can make somebody millions and millions of dollars by teaching them something. For instance, I have a friend who he charges $350,000 a year for his coaching. He will meet with you 1 hour a month. So you're getting 12 hours for $350,000. So I said, Dan, why are you worth $350,000? Obvious question. He said, I'm not worth $350,000. However, who I know is worth $350,000. I said, what do you mean? He said, well, if you want to sell your company, I probably know who's going to buy it. And if you want a chief marketing officer, I think I probably know who that is. You're buying my Rolodex. So what is that worth? Would you pay somebody $350,000 to get a 2x multiple extra on your company when you probably could have got a 6x, or positioning it such a way, or to know somebody who's going to be able to build that app? Even a YouTube strategist, I can hire somebody to be my YouTube person, but let's say that I hire my YouTube person and then I say, I want you to hire a Sean Cannell certified coach for 1 year to get you going. That's going to be $1,500 a month for me to hire that coach for you. What am I getting out of that as a businessman? I'm probably getting a 10x return conservatively on that $1,500, right? Because the compound interest on the knowledge and the mistakes that we don't have to make are worth a lot of money. So there's a lesson in there for all of us. What you want to charge is a small percentage of the money that you are making or saving somebody else in the business community. Now, let's say it's gardening, right? $1 million on gardening, they're not making you any money. In fact, I ate a tomato out of our garden last night. I'm pretty sure the cost of that tomato was $37. You actually extrapolate it all out. But what somebody's buying then is peace of mind. They're buying hobby. They're buying connection with their family. And then you need to put a dollar value on that. What would you pay to have a family project that you all love? Would you pay $5,000 a year for that? Absolutely. You'd pay a lot more than that just just to go to Disney World. So a lot of people who have the wisdom haven't taken the step yet to figure out the value, the commercial value of that wisdom. And what you're looking for is peace of mind, better sleep, better health, better self-esteem, cleaner, organized house. All of that stuff has an economic value, and you want to charge what you're worth. Now, the other reason to not give this stuff away for free is that when people give away things for free, they aren't valued. Early on in my career, I ran story brand marketing workshops, and probably 8 or 10 times somebody had a nonprofit or a friend said, "Hey, can I get in and sit in the back of the room?" And I would let them come in for free. I probably had 20,000 people come through those workshops. There were 8 or 10 people who were looking at their phones or skipping sessions or pacing around in the lobby on their phone while I was teaching, and every single one of them came in for free. Because when you don't pay for something, you actually attempt to justify in your mind why that wasn't worth something, rather than feel gratitude that you got something that should cost $3,000 for free. You think, well, this person is going to give me $3,000 worth of gratitude. They're actually not. They're going to build a case for why they were right and not paying anything. And so, you want to charge $500, half price something, so that they have skin in the game and will turn around and respect that. So, all of that is why you should actually charge money for your products.
So strong. And let's get into these steps. And so step 1 is create a menu of products and services to sell your clients. Break this down a little bit.
Yeah. So if you've got a job and you want to start coaching and you're dreaming about that, let's start. Don't leave your job yet. What I want you to do is actually create a menu of products of the things that you can sell. For instance, let's say you're a marketing executive somewhere, or something like that. You could actually sell a one-day marketing strategy session for $7,500. We're going to go into a business and you're going to look at their current marketing strategy and you're going to improve that. You want to have that be a deliverable product. I like creating a keynote deck and a workbook. So you're clicking through the keynote and they're filling out the workbook as you go along. That would be a product that you could sell for $7,500. A lot of coaches, well, honestly, that's cheap. $15,000, $20,000. We sell them for $20,000. So, and also if you create the keynote deck and the workbook, I can charge $20,000 for somebody else coming in. We have 3 or 4 facilitators who go do that. So, it's just really smart to create those frameworks. But the menu of products, what it does is it gives you confidence that you have something that you can sell. If you are selling just coaching, if you say, I'm quitting my job and I'm going to become a coach, would you like to be a client? I can coach you. That's like walking into a restaurant and saying, what are you known for? What are your specials? And they say protein. Protein we're really known for our protein. We make really great protein. Yeah. That is a true statement, but it's unhelpful in terms of helping me give you money.
Yes.
If you say, listen, I am biased. We have the best cheeseburger in the city of Nashville. It is the best. Guess what I'm ordering? Protein in the form of a cheeseburger, because I know what that is. That, I think, is the number one mistake people make when they get into coaching, is they just sell their coaching. And I think that's fine. You can end up selling your coaching, but let's start with a 6-month mastermind in which we overhaul your leadership. Let's start with a 12-month elite mastermind demographic, or only people who make more than $10 million. Let's start, so you want to actually come up with something specific that has a start date, an end date, a deliverable, and a price. And when you have 3 of those and you really dial them in and you know how you're going to deliver them, you are ready to start a coaching business. I still don't recommend leaving your day job yet, because there's another step 2, but you are ready to start a coaching business. And here's the other thing, Sean, you can actually say, well, if I need to make $175,000 to match the salary that I had in my day job, I know exactly how many of each products I need to sell in order to do it. And in coaching, it's a black box, and you're going to feel stressed. You're going to have trouble going to sleep. I know I need to sell 7 of these, 12 of these, and 4 of these. And now I can say, okay, how do I do it? Which is getting into step 2.
Would you recommend, when you 7 of these, 4 of these, 12 of these, also that maybe you have low, medium, and high in terms of your menu too?
Yeah, it's always great to have sort of an entry-level product. In fact, one of the steps in the book is to have a ladder of products, and the whole bottom of the ladder is actually free. And I've realized I said don't charge nothing, but nothing is actually free. Some of them are in exchange for your email address. You're going to get this PDF, and then I'm going to send you these free nurture emails that are just automated. They don't cost me any time. And then I'm probably going to invite you to a webinar. Well, by this time, I've given you enough value, and there's time plus contact where we've created a bond a little bit, even if we've never met. It's all digital. And now you're willing to buy my $275 product, at which point is still digital. I've not put any skin in the game. But by the time that you and I are in a room together, we're probably at about $5,000.
Yeah.
And that's really where my time starts to come into play. I'm giving you time. Bottom price is $5,000.
Yep.
There's some automated digital products in there. There's some automated digital lead generators, those sorts of things. But starting from zero all the way up to $50,000 would be that ladder of products.
I think that's a good clarity point too, because if you say we're going to put really high valuable free content on YouTube,
yes,
and content that can get people results in advance, start implementing, wow, that was helpful. In one sense, this idea of a lead magnet for email, some people call them freebies, freemiums. YouTube is a step in front of that, or in a way, a similar step.
Let me give you an example. I wrote a book called Hero on a Mission, and it's basically the description or the step-by-step instructions for a morning ritual that clears a busy mind and helps you stay on track and kind of plan your life. We created some software around that. Hero on a Mission software where you can go in and spend 15 minutes on a daily ritual. You fill out some questions. What am I grateful for? You look at your calendar of events, my primary tasks, those sorts of things. And we put the book out. It gets us 15 people a day signing up for the software. We did a YouTube video, and it gets us 100 people a day signing up for the software. So that's more powerful than a book. And the book was a bestseller. So yes, YouTube is a great strategy to lead people to your lead generator, which captures their email address and so forth and so on. And then let's go ahead and monetize that. The software is free. Nobody has to pay for it. But we would actually email you and say, would you like to spend $275 and watch the on-demand course? Well, first we're going to say you want to buy the book, like $20. Then the on-demand course is $275. Would you like to hire a coach to spend a year taking you through this system? Well, that coach paid me $10,000 to be certified to be that coach. So you can see how the monetization of the YouTube video can work in ways that are just beyond advertising. And it requires you scaling up a little bit of a coaching business.
Step 2, generate and manage a list of potential clients.
Yes. Who are you going to sell your products to? And a lot of people start with clients. And I would say start with products. Because until you know what products you're going to sell, you don't know who you're going to sell them to. So basically what you want to do is you want to take a list of the problems that your products solve, and then make another list of the potential people who who could actually use the solution to that problem, and then write an email and send it to them and sell them that. That's before you even get into a CRM. Then once I get into a CRM, I want a lead generator that's providing emails to that CRM and automating the division of those 3 products and the 3 things that I'm going to sell people. But most coaches, for instance, a guy I know named Chad, who actually helps run my company. The reason Chad is with my company is he sent an email. He left another not competitor, a friend of mine who does something similar, left their business, sent out one email to a small list of contacts that he had that said, here's what I did for Mike, and here's what I can do in the marketplace. I'm going to be doing some consulting, and hire me if you want. We'll teach you kind of what we did over here. I hired him immediately, paid him a lot of money, enjoyed the relationship so much that I bought him out of his own consulting firm, and he gets an enormous amount of money being on my leadership team now from one email. But let me tell you what he did in that email. He described the problems that he solved at his previous company and said, if you have those problems, I can help you solve them. And by the way, in the book, there's formulas for writing emails, and we have now put inside of a server artificial intelligence informed by StoryBrand that will help you write that sales letter. So, there's just so many ways to do it. But you need a menu of products, and then you need a list of people that you can sell those products to. And ultimately, if you really want to grow a coaching firm, you need a CRM managing leads selling those products.
And can you define CRM for listeners?
It's just customer relationship management software, Salesforce, HubSpot. Basically, you want a system where you've created emails that are automated, and when you stick an email address in there, it's going to send the first one, and then 5 days later it's going to send the second one, and then 5 days later, 3 days later, 2 days later, you set it up to send the third one, and now you're building trust in an automated email system.
And I love this thing you hit in the book here. How do you launch your coaching business? You tell people you're a coach over and over.
Yes. Especially if you're trying to change your identity in their mind.
Yes.
Right.
So listeners are probably thinking about that, like, wait a minute, like to step into this thing of I'm a coach, how do I become a coach? How will people know I'm a coach? This is even kind of a branding and positioning messaging thing. Speak to that mindset of someone that is leaning into this identity and building up that brand, and maybe the right mindset too of establishing a brand, because you say tell people over and over.
Right. Yeah, I remember when I wrote my first book, I was at a book signing my book, and one of the lady came up and said, "Hey, what is it like to be a writer?" And I just looked at her and said, "Well, I'm not a writer." And she just looked at me very confused because I'm signing my book. Yeah. Identity often lags behind action. And you've got to get there. And so the only way that you can have the identity of a coach is actually if you coach. So a lot of the people get blocked because, well, I'm not a coach, I'm this. You need probably 3 really successful engagements as a coach before your identity will even begin to catch up. So the first thing is you're going to have to jump before you swim.
Hey, we're about to get back into the podcast in just a second, but I have a question for you. Do you want to grow your personal brand this year? Do you need more leads and sales in your business? If the answer is yes, then right now is the best time to go all in on YouTube. Today's podcast is brought to you by thinkmasterclass.com, where you can get on-demand access to a 1-hour deep dive training revealing how to start and grow a profitable YouTube channel this year. For a limited time, you can get access to this on-demand class entirely for free, where you will learn the 3 biggest mistakes that people make when starting a YouTube channel, the new rules and changes that have been happening on YouTube and how you can use them to create an unfair advantage, and the exact strategy we use at Think Media to generate over 350,000 organic views every single day. The data is clear. 70% of viewers claim that YouTube makes them more aware of new brands. So don't wait any longer to start growing your brand and business with YouTube. Just go to thinkmasterclass.com to get access to this no-fluff, highly tactical, free on-demand training. That's thinkmasterclass.com.
Right? It's like standing on the edge of the pool and saying, well, I'm not swimming. Well, it's because you're not in the pool.
Yeah.
You will swim really fast, especially if you're in the deep end. So I encourage you to jump in and start coaching, but also to tell people that I now coach people through X. And you're going to have to kind of memorize a line because it's not going to feel true, even though it is true. You are actually coaching somebody. So I wouldn't be too self-deprecating about it. I think that's going to cost you in your career. But you want to jump in and begin to, your action will follow, your identity will follow action. We've got to get in there and start coaching, call ourselves a coach, put together a coaching website, begin promoting yourself. In 12 months, you're not going to have that problem anymore.
So strong. And step 3 is create a compelling website that attracts your ideal clients. And in this chapter, you do touch on your sales pitch or your elevator pitch, which you kind of just mentioned. Like maybe that's I solve X problem, or what is that?
Yeah. Well, let's go through, we can go through all the parts of a website, but I just want to give you the part that needs to be at the top.
Yeah.
And the part that needs to be at the top is identify the problem that you solve as a coach and position your coaching product as the resolution of that problem. For instance, you would say a lot of people dream of being a really good cook. I leverage my 10 years of experience in, fine dining kitchens to teach you how to cook 6 amazing dishes of your choice. I'm in. I just made that up, and I'm like, where is that person? I will pay them money. Now imagine that's $2,500, and you get 6 different interactions you're going to videotape that interaction and put it on YouTube. Well, I just videotaped me with a client who's paying me $2,500 with their permission, putting it on YouTube. You know how many clients are going to be wanting the same experience?
Yeah.
I literally just started a business. Chefs don't make any money. My friend Andy Little ran Josephine here in Nashville, and they, sadly, the neighborhood that he was in became very, very popular, and they tripled his rent. He had to shut down his restaurant.
Jeez.
And he's getting older, and he doesn't want to work in a kitchen anymore. It's a young man's game. It's a young woman's game. I literally just. Andy, if you're watching, you could do this, and you could do it. You could work 4 months out of the year and make 3 times what you made as a chef, leveraging your experience. But what's the key? The key isn't I will teach you how to cook. A lot of people will teach you how to cook. I will teach you to make 6 meals that blow people's minds, so you always have a go-to. And we'll do it in 6 sessions. And you know what? When we're done, we're going to eat it. Yeah. That's the best part. By the way, Andy, I'll show up for that and work the camera as long as I get a bite.
I mean, I love that. That's amazing. Okay, so you want to create a website, and we'll keep it moving. And, of course, you break down all the step-by-step of the website.
So that top is
in the book.
The problem you solve and the products that you sell to solve it.
Problem you solve and products you sell to solve it.
Make sure your website says that.
And so then step 4, once you have that set up, write automated sales emails that land clients while you sleep, and eventually that can be your CRM, is what's sending those automated emails. And as a reminder, we have a couple email-based tips on email marketing on the Think Media podcast, and we'll link other show notes and resources, as well as Coach Builder. I hope by now you can see it's an essential book to grab. I just finished it, absolutely love it.
We actually have emails in that book that you can cut and paste, and then I've written 52 emails that any coach can use to convince people that you're a coach.
That alone,
you can also use.
That's so priceless, and more than $20 or whatever the book is on Amazon. So, but what are the biggest mistakes people make when writing emails and following up?
Well, the biggest mistake is they don't do it. Yeah. So that's by far, that's 95% of it.
Yeah.
I remember when I was a young publisher, I accidentally Forrest Gumped my way into the president of a publishing company in my 20s, and this is it wasn't pre-email, but people didn't do email marketing. We were actually sending snail mail. And the company became the fastest growing publishing company in our sector. And the boss, the sort of absentee owner, came in and just said, how are you doing this? What are you doing? And I said, well, I'm taking the 20% of our clients who are giving us 80% of our revenue, and I'm just writing them a letter every week. And it's going to their desk. And he said, Don, the last letter you wrote was about you going camping. It had nothing to do with publishing. And I said, I know. That's because nobody's reading them. All they're doing is they're seeing our logo and they're putting it in the trash can. And he said, well, how in the world does that grow in the company? He said, because they're not forgetting us. You've got to send something out week after week after week with your name or your logo, the name of your company, the name of your brand. I get text messages once a day from Hank's Belts. Hank's Belts. Yeah. By the way, I'm not sponsored by Hank Belts. Although, send me a free belt. I'm giving you some promo here. I bought a belt for my father-in-law for Christmas, and great belts, and they started texting me all the time.
Yeah.
Well, I don't need a belt. You buy one, but I've got 5 belts. And then I realized, you know what? I actually don't have a black dress belt. And so I bought a black dress belt. And then I realized, well, I could actually get this other guy a belt. This is a kind of a cool belt. I got another belt as a gift. Then they're having a 40% off sale on belts I don't need. That'd be a great email. 40% off on a belt you don't need. Yeah. We'll sell. By the way, that's free. Yeah. And I ended up looking around. I'm like, I don't need this belt, but I really have 40% off. It's only $100, $60. They got another, $400 or $500 out of me, because they reminded me they exist. Mm-hmm. And the reality is, people will forget that you don't exist. They will forget that you exist if you don't remind them. And so that's the importance of getting those emails out. The actual email copy is not as important as you think. It's the, hey, I exist, hey, I exist, hey, I exist. Because people don't buy from you when you email them. They buy from you when they have the problem that your email offers a solution to. And the reality is, for 6 months out of the year, they don't have that problem. And 1 week after 6 months, they do. And if you don't send them an email in that window, you're not going to sell anything. So it's a percentage game, and you want to be in touch with people all the time.
So strong. And I think about all the text messages that I get, reef sandals.
and you don't unsubscribe.
And I don't unsubscribe, and I'm paying attention. And then when the sale hits, that always gets my attention. Right. I'll look over, and I get sandals I don't need.
Or your flip-flop falls apart, and now you need it.
That's a good point.
And they text you right then.
It's 4th of July is coming out.
That's the artificial intelligence we need. When the flip-flop falls apart, email Sean.
Yes. So step 5 is create a marketing funnel and a product ladder.
And we talked about that a little earlier, yeah.
So just define at a high level before step 6, what is, though, a marketing funnel? If you were kitchen table talking to a family member, like what? A marketing funnel?
Relationships work in 3 phases. All relationships, romantic relationships, friendships, relationships with brands, relationships with politicians, they all work in 3 phases. Curiosity, enlightenment, commitment. And they go in that order. And you can't get the order wrong. Curiosity is when there's something about you as a thought leader, as a person, as an individual, that I sense could help me survive. So Sean knows a lot about YouTube. I really want to crack this nut. There you go. I'm now interested in Sean. Sean, you're a great guy. You're an amazing person. They're not interested in you. They're interested in the wisdom that you have that can help them survive. Yeah. And so that's one of the reasons we want to lead with that. Now that I think Sean might have something that can help me survive on YouTube, I'm not going to buy anything from him. What I'm actually going to do is see if he's trustworthy. See if my suspicion is true. So I'm going to watch some YouTube videos. I might download a lead generator. And when I download a lead generator, by the way, I'm getting emails maybe every week from you that is continuing to enlighten me about how you could help me survive, what it looks like, what it costs. I'm in the due diligence phase without even knowing it. And then you enter into the commitment window. And the commitment window is when the problem that Sean solves overlaps with him asking me to buy something to solve it. And so we have always got to be doing 3 things: piquing people's curiosity, enlightening them, and asking for the money. We always have to be doing those 3 things because we just don't know where our customers are, and we're doing some mass advertising. Well, in order to do that, you create a marketing funnel. You create lead generators that capture the email. Something about your lead generator piqued my curiosity, so I downloaded it. You began to enlighten me. And at the bottom of the enlightenment, you said, P.S., by the way, we're running a 30% sale on this, and we'd love to have you. So you're always saying, will you go out with me, and will you marry me at the same time? It's how I got married. I just kept asking my wife to marry me. Finally, she goes, okay, you're a sad case. I gotta give you this. So, you're dating in order to get to know somebody, and you're asking for, their hand in marriage. It's all relational. Everything's relational. I say that as an analogy because my wife sat me down after we've been dating for about 3 or 4 months. And I'm ready to get married. I wanted to marry you 2 years before we ever started dating. I'm done. And she said, Don, you know what? You're a quality time guy. And I thought she was being nice. She was actually correcting me. I said, what do you mean? She said, well, you just know what you want very quickly. It doesn't take you very long. You always make fast decisions. She said, I want you to understand, I'm a quantity time girl, meaning it's going to take you a minute. Years later, I thought that was just such a funny anecdote in our marriage. But later, I was looking at data from my business, and I realized that 85% of our orders were coming a year after somebody gave me their email address. And I realized, these are quantity time buyers. 85% of buyers are quantity time, meaning if you're not emailing me every week for a year, you're going to lose the order.
Wow. That's a profound insight. This is a masterclass, and I'm really appreciating you breaking this down. And before we go to step 6, you also say build a product ladder, and we touched on that. The product ladder might be a way to engage free, lower ticket.
Yeah, half of the things that you create are actually free, but they're also not demanding your time.
Yeah.
So and when I say free, they're giving you their email address, which I put the economic value of an email address at about $35. In other words, the psychological money that I'm giving you when I give you my email address is $35. I will part with my email address about as willingly as I'll part with $35. So let's not think that this isn't a sacrifice on the part of our customer.
Yeah, absolutely. And then it can go up, and if they're getting your time, that could be higher ticket, which brings us to step 6, set realistic business goals and accomplish them. What types of goals should we set, and how do we know if they're realistic?
Yeah, I give you several categories of goals to set for your coaching business in the book, but let me give you 2 that are really important. The first is the most important, and that is lead measure goals. Lead measure goals are how many people downloaded my free PDF, how many people watched my YouTube videos, or better, how many YouTube videos did I create, quality YouTube videos did I create. If I want to build a coaching business, I'm just going to let the money take care of itself. What I'm actually going to measure are the number of lunches that I have with potential clients, the number of email acquisitions that I get, the number of emails that I've written to put into my CRM. Those are the goals that I'm going to establish in order to get my business started. The money will take care of itself. If you do things that lead to orders, you'll get orders later. Don't worry about the orders. It's kind of like everything else in life. If you want to lose weight, don't set a goal to lose weight. Set a goal to get up every morning and go for and get 10,000 steps, right? And also set a goal to eat less than 2,200 calories. If you just do that, the weight will take care of itself. I think it was Brian Walsh who wrote a book after winning so many Super Bowls with the San Francisco 49ers. The score takes care of itself. Never think about the score. Think about the process it takes to win, then set goals within that process, and you're going to be just fine.
Step 7, build or join a community to help you grow yourself and your business.
Yeah, there are 8 steps to build a coaching business. That one's the most important. Being in a community of other coaches is a greater predictor of success than whether or not you have a CRM, a website, a menu of products, a product ladder. All of that is secondary to being in a community of other coaches. But here's why. Because if you're in a community of other coaches, you're going to build a CRM, a menu of products. All of that's going to happen. But it's going to happen because we tend to behave like the tribe that we are hanging out with. It is the number one predictor of success. So if you can find, and all you need to do is find other people in your area who are coaching and buy them breakfast once a month. I remember, Brendan Bouchard.
Yeah.
Brendan used to live in Portland, Oregon, and Brendan had a condo that he didn't live in. It was a condo that he furnished that he used maybe once a week. He would get a group of guys together for breakfast in the morning. He would pay for breakfast. Then we would go up into his condo, and he would just say, "What'd you learn this week?" And he created a mastermind. It was all free. We were all learning an incredible amount, but it was actually genius of him to create a community of content creators. This was 25 years ago. How I don't know, he's got to be worth tens or hundreds of millions of dollars. And he put together a community. I was amazed in researching that chapter that it always struck me as odd, because I've been a big fan of psychology, that so many fathers and mothers of modern psychology came out of Vienna in the 20s through the 50s. So they were all in Vienna, the 20s to the 50s. And like an idiot, I thought, oh, well, there must have been something in the water. Those were the smartest psychologists. That's not true. There were smart psychologists in Australia. There were smart psychologists in the United States, of course. There were smart psychologists in South Africa. What made Austria different was 2 things: the university system and the coffee shops. They were meeting with each other, and they were threatened by each other. They competed with each other. They learned from each other. They disagreed with each other, right? Alfred Adler is going to disagree with Sigmund Freud. I don't think I'm mistaken to say my favorite psychologist, Viktor Frankl, spent a day with Sigmund Freud. Sigmund Freud launches this thing, and Adler completely disagrees, and Frankl says it's not pleasure, it's meaning. And all of a sudden there's a midrash taking place that launches the fathers of modern psychology. Think about this. In tennis, I'm a big tennis fan. Rafael Nadal, Roger Federer, and Novak Djokovic are the top 3 winningest tennis players on the male circuit of all time. They actually accomplished, by the way, like Pete Sampras has won like 9 Grand Slams. Then it's 20 for Federer, I believe, 21 or something like that for, I'm going to butcher this, for Nadal. And then Novak, I believe, is right now at 23 or 24. And I hope he gets one more, because then he passes Margaret Court as the greatest tennis player of all time, undisputed. And I like Novak. They all did it at the same time. I think, now think about that, the scarcity of the actual Grand Slams available while they're doing it at the same time. So Pete won it with no competition. The greatest players of all time, the 3 of them, are playing in the exact same season, competing at the exact same tournaments.
Wow.
But I think you remove 2 of those, and the number 1 players probably got 10. Because it was the competition that forced those 3 guys to say, winning is scarce right now. A Grand Slam victory is scarce because those 2 powerhouses are trying to take it from me, and they all upped their game. If you want to be a 7-figure business coach, get in a room every week with somebody else who's competing with you, and you're going to do just fine. You're gonna lose sleep over that.
Yeah.
And hopefully those guys all love each other.
Yeah.
Massive respect. And I feel the same way about Michael Hyatt and Dave Ramsey and Patrick Lencioni and John Gordon and Henry Cloud. I have dinner with these guys. I'd love to have dinner with Patrick. I haven't met Patrick yet.
Yeah.
But we sit and we talk about what we're doing and what we're sharing and what we're writing and all that kind of stuff. And I leave dinner with Henry Cloud. First of all, I think Henry Cloud is a savant. I will never be as intelligent as Henry Cloud. But I leave so inspired and wanting to do more and wanting to write better. So it's the community, I think, is the greatest predictor of success.
That's such a strong point. And as we land the plane, and I have one of my favorite chapters actually came after the 8 steps, but step 8 is then navigate the nuances of the client-coach relationship. And you say, master the soft skills of client coaching. Break this down.
Listen, the frameworks that we teach, the CRM that you use, the lead generators, those are very helpful to you to build a coaching business, and some of those are helpful to get your client results. Their life will be changed by a human being. And I think this is the part that in the book that the coaches probably need the least, because they're actually good at it. It's why they're in it. They want to change lives. I want to be the guide that helps the hero win. I'm leveraging that transition in my life to do that. But I wanted to put it in the book to be able to say, don't leave your heart behind. At the end of the day, your economic objectives are not going to be fulfilling even if you hit them. You're not going to, on your dying breath, you're not going to say, if only I would have charged more. What you are going to say is, if only I would have been a better listener. If only I would have been more compassionate toward the people that I work with. If only I would have empathized more. If only, gosh, if I would have said such and such, they might not have made that critical mistake, and I should have called them. And so I wanted to end the book on that note.
So powerful. And our director of coaching now at Think Media, Brian, we are geeking out over that chapter.
Yeah.
And like even, a couple of the things you said create your own top 10 list, but never assume you know the client's problem, never assume the client understood your coaching, never break a client's trust. And just this, it makes sense.
Wow, what you're saying now are all the mistakes that I've made. I'm realizing now that all I did was tell you don't do what I just did.
Oh, it's so powerful. And those kinds of things. And I love that you also talked about, you broke down percentages. You said, I think it was about 10% or 20% is the frameworks and is the information.
Yeah.
What 40 or 60% is the listening.
It's the connection.
Is the connection.
Yeah.
And
it's a human being in the trenches with me.
Someone in the trenches that maybe processes and listens, because we want to sound smart and have the coolest information.
Yeah.
But it sounds like the transformation is this EQ, soft skills side of things.
It's the sugar that makes the medicine go down, right?
Yeah.
I will listen to somebody and take their advice if I know that they understand my problem and they're for me, and they can give me the best solution in the world, and I won't do it unless I know that person is on my side.
That's so powerful. Well, I have one question as we end, but I want to encourage, if you want more on this, Coach Builder is the book, and then we'll link that up in the show notes, and you can check that out. Anything else you want to mention before I ask you one final question?
Yeah, there's one of the biggest questions that we get, in fact, you asked it almost to start the interview, was what do I charge for my services? So we created a coach's pricing guide at coachbuilder.com. There's a little button that says, I think it's top right, get the pricing guide. You can download that for free.
Beautiful. So we'll make sure to link to that and everything else as well as Donald Miller's socials. And check out the previous episode. Was one of the favorites for many of the Think Media podcast community. We'll link that up in the show notes as well, which was based on one of your other books, How to Grow Your Small Business. Both, I think, will go down in Think Media podcast history as just essential episodes. And so thank you for your time today. But one of the things that really stood out to me was you wrote a chapter on the personal costs involving building a 7-figure coaching business. Yes. And I'm actually just curious on your take on this, because what I loved about this is kind of like maybe setting a trajectory and having self-awareness. I think you've really delivered on the promise today of, oh, wow, it's practical to do 6 figures without a big audience, because if you're coaching a handful of people that you
6 or 7 clients,
Yeah, 6. It's wild to consider that while that being possible for those building YouTube channels listening to this. But I feel like with the entrepreneur gurus out there and viral TikToks of maybe a little bit of smoke and mirrors. A lot of people are flexing on social media. And this idea of being $1 million business owner just is like thrown around like it's common. Thrown around like almost, I think that sometimes in social media you get into comparison, like if I'm not doing 7 figures. And I love that you took it from a place of count the cost of even doing that.
I tried to talk you out of it.
Yeah, I like this. So break this
At the
down.
beginning of the chapter, it's something like how to grow a 7-figure coaching business. I've spent the first 2 to 3 pages literally trying to talk you out of it. And then I say, if you don't care and because you have no choice.
Yeah.
I have a 7-figure coaching business, not because I want one. I have no choice. I'm just wired that way. It's just in me. So I'm going to be miserable if I don't do it. And so now what I have to do is figure out how to mitigate the damage of that on my family, on my health, on my life. And what I say to you is, look, none of it's going to satisfy, the money's not going to satisfy you. It's just not going to, especially if it costs you as a father, as a mother, as a husband, as a wife, if it costs you that as a friend, none of that's worth it. So let's mitigate some of that damage because you have to do it. I understand. I'm with you. I'm like you. Let's mitigate some of that damage. And now let me show you how to do it.
Yes.
So because Sean, you and I have sat with people. I sat on my front porch with a gentleman who's built an 8-figure coaching business not very long ago, and super popular guy. People really loved him, and was not surprised when I read in the news that he had passed away of an overdose. I wasn't surprised at all because it's just a hard grind to do it. And so it's also very enjoyable, extremely fulfilling, but it's just like any sort of drug, it can take you. And so I wanted to start the chapter just by saying, hey, this is not the normal self-help book. You matter more as a person than any of your accomplishments. And I think at the end of our lives, the accomplishments just aren't going to matter. What's going to matter are the relationships. So I wanted to start that chapter there and then say, okay, now, if you are with me, then you're actually the right person. If you enjoyed that,
Sure.
You're the right person to let's keep going and let's figure out how to do this. But I didn't want to say it's great.
Yeah.
It's going to be amazing. By the way, it's going to fix you. Remember that stuff that your dad said? It's going to become untrue when you make a lot of money.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen. So I started the chapter that way.
Well, and I appreciate that because I do think that you got to know why you're doing it. You got to self-awareness is a superpower. What are you reverse engineering from? But I definitely think we need a message on social media where I know a lot of people are underpaid, or there's definitely a lifestyle change between 60 grand and 150 grand.
Yeah.
But how big, and that's what the stats have shown us too. At a certain point,
I think the numbers now, inflation has adjusted everything, probably around 250, 275, that the studies have proven you can't get any happier. Or the money is not going to be a factor
in you getting happier.
Yeah.
Yet we can,
and that's for a family, by the way.
Yeah, for your entire household. Yet on social media, again, there can be so much comparison. I think wrong messaging. So I just really appreciate that. I love that you're anchoring it in self-awareness. If it's that mission, if it's that drive, it's that. And then how do you do it in a healthy way? And I really respect that about you with your values for family and caring for your team. And it seems to be the sustainable pace you're building into your culture and all that stuff you're doing. But I want to encourage listeners, so great to pick up the book because this is a path you can architect for yourself, and you give people a map to build the coaching business that is best for you and your family. That's not based on what anybody else is doing, but your race and your pace.
Yeah. I hope everybody has the coaching career of their dreams,
Yes.
I think as long as we're changing lives, we're going to be very, very fulfilled in our career.
Donald Miller, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
If you enjoyed this podcast and are ready for some deep dive YouTube strategy, just go to thinkmasterclass.com to get access to my 1-hour on-demand YouTube strategy class. You'll be looking over my shoulder as I share my best tips, and you can watch it on demand right now at thinkmasterclass.com.
We've hatched up a plan to make Easter even better. Snickers satisfies.
Try Crest 3D White. Finally, a daily whitening toothpaste for whiter teeth in one day.
Just launched a new channel, and what was the launch like?
2 or 3 videos at the same time. One of those videos hit 1 million views.
When did it become commonplace for you to start putting out million-viewed videos?
That started when learn how to tell a story. I'm convinced that if you can tell a really good story, you'll never be hungry in your life. Now, thumbnails need to stop becoming an afterthought. Thumbnails need to be the first thought. You can have a great video, but if you have an awful thumbnail, no one's going to watch it.
Imagine getting 1 million views on every video that you upload. It sounds crazy, but today's guest on the Think Media podcast is experiencing that with almost every video that he posts. And in this episode, he's going to be breaking down his tips, his tricks, and the insights he's learned on his journey on YouTube across starting multiple different channels. Now, today's episode is brought to you by videogrowthday.com. For the first time ever, we are hosting a one-day event where we are teaching our 7-step YouTube success system entirely for free. If you want to check that out, there's a link in the show notes where you can learn more, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that later. But for now, let's jump into my featured conversation with Sean from Bikes and Beards. Imagine getting the opportunity to sit down with a YouTube genius who, if he only gets a couple 100,000 views on a video, that's a bad day. And he's wondering what went wrong. In today's episode of the Think Media podcast, I get to connect with Sean from Bikes and Beards, as well as SRK Cycles, and he's going to be talking about a brand new channel that they launched that instantly exploded right out of the gate, and some of the lessons that you can learn whether you're just starting YouTube or whether you're actually at a more of an advanced level and want to talk about building teams and just the journey of being a content creator. Sean, welcome to the show.
Yo, where is this YouTube genius? Is he coming out somewhere? No, I appreciate it. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, 2.14 million subscribers. And it's very common for you to get 1 million views a video, but a couple 100,000. And so I'm excited to get into all of these tactics, but maybe for people that are just meeting you, what's the channel about? And take us all the way back to when you started a dealership and how it turned into this.
Yeah, so the channel is... when people ask me about it, I say it's kind of broad audience motorcycle content. So I tell stories. I love telling stories, and I tell stories that you can sit down and watch, and your kids can watch. I keep everything family friendly, and then also your wife can watch, because women are generally women can see a story. You know what I mean? Like guys, let's be honest, we can watch a video of a guy just doing a burnout, and we're like, this is awesome. You know what I mean? But women, they need to see a story. You know what I mean? So I'm always really pumped when the guy's like, hey, even my wife watches your show. And I'm like, yes, I'm telling a good story. And where this started was about 9 years ago. I decided that I wanted to leave. I was working at it for a car dealership, and I wanted to start my own motorcycle dealership. I like motorcycles. I've always had motorcycles. I've had bikes since I was 18 years old. And the thing I had to overcome was, how do I get people to trust me when they don't know me? And my solution was, I'm going to be brutally honest. You can't just tell people, honest Abe's used car. Don't trust that guy. Yeah. You have to show people that you're trustworthy. So how do you do that? You're buying a bike from me. I'm going to show you I'm going to do a walk around, show you all the scratches, all the damage on the bike. And then I'm going to do a test drive video and show you what the bike, just show you that it runs as well as I'm saying it runs. Because then you don't need to trust me. I just showed you. And then so that was the SRK Cycles channel, and that was the name of my dealership. And then I started realizing that people were, you can make money off of this. And I'm like, this is cool. I had a rental property at the time, and it was making $500 a month. And my goal was maybe in a year, I can make $500 a month off this YouTube channel. And I got there much faster than a year.
Well, so this is the rental. This is your dealership, and your first channel you started was SRK Cycles.
Yep.
Pure motorcycle review channel that still exists today.
Yes. Yes. Originally, it was just motorcycles that I had bought to sell, and then later just kind of reviewing whatever. But then I started thinking, I realized that people were watching these things and they weren't buying my bike. They were just watching these things to to do reviews and to do their research on it. So I started working at that a different way. And then I was seeing people have a lot of fun on YouTube, and I'm like, I want to have fun. Like, it's fun to ride bike. I'm doing the same thing, and I'm saying the same stuff. I wanted to have like YouTube fun. So I started trying some like goofier stuff on the SRK Cycles channel. People hated it. It was the type of the guy. Those people were, okay. Here's one of the lessons: know your viewers. Those viewers were they were doing research. They didn't want to see a couple guys goofing off. They wanted to see the information. They wanted to see the specs. They wanted to see that's what they wanted to see. So then I started the Bikes and Beards channel, and that was more just broad audience. Can we tell a story? Now, early on, we didn't know how to tell a story. We were just goofed off and did dumb stuff. But it kind of became into that.
Yeah, that's amazing. And it's really not right or wrong. It's different. So what are the expectations of the YouTube channel?
Right.
It was a review channel. And how many years on SRK did you go before you then expanded to Bikes and Beards channel?
It was it might have been like 3 years, like 2 or 3 years.
And speak to that phase one. What was the level of video production? What were you doing to make videos?
Phase one was we had a GoPro, and I'd put it on my chin, like on my chin helmet.
Yeah.
And I would start it, do the test drive, stumble through whatever I had to do, and then turn it off, take that little SD card, and put it on the internet. No editing, no nothing, no thumbnails. Just like, if I filmed for 27 minutes, I had a 27-minute video. And that really kind of, messed me up in a way of like, I filmed for 20 minutes, now I'll make a 27-minute video, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now it's it took me a little while to make that mental shift of like, I have to do a lot of stuff. I might spend a whole day to get 30 seconds of footage.
With what you're doing now.
With what I'm doing now.
But it was a good place to start, and it worked.
You got to start somewhere.
Yeah. And our mutual friend, Tim Schmoyer, you connect with him early on.
Yep.
And he said, hey, what if you actually like edited your videos, right?
Yeah. So early on, I kind of, I don't know who I heard this from, but like, I realized that Michael Jordan had advisors for every aspect of his life, and I was like, well, Michael Jordan's the best. And even he has people that help him out. So I was like, well, I'm not even close to the best. I'm the worst. I need help. I need people to help me out. So the first guy, Tim Schmoyer, and he definitely got me to like the next level of, hey, you should edit your videos. You should actually consider making thumbnails. Just really, really basic stuff.
Totally.
Because at that point, like, I could have, it was almost like I was the only guy doing anything on YouTube. I was just completely in my own bubble. You know what I mean? I wasn't watching anyone. I wasn't like you guys, watching people, watching Sean and seeing how to do stuff.
And so then, was it also probably helpful, though, early on, you were titling your own videos, and maybe they were getting discovered because they were just practical and people were searching for a bike model number?
Right.
Is it the final vote?
We'll finally know which egg is loved most. Reese's or Cadbury. Choose one.
I choose both. Celebrate Easter with Reese's and Cadbury.
I've had hidradenitis suppurativa, HS, for years. Painful bumps that come and go. I used to think, why me? My symptoms made me miss work, miss out with my kids. I said, enough. You are stronger than this. Keep fighting.
Take on HS differently with Cosentix. It works from the inside to target a believed source of inflammation that may cause HS symptoms. Real people saw 50% reduction in bumps and abscesses after 16 weeks. Don't use if you're allergic to Cosentix. Before starting, get checked for tuberculosis. An increased risk of infections and lowered ability to fight them may occur, like tuberculosis or other serious bacterial, fungal, or viral infections. Some were fatal. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms like fevers, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough. Had a vaccine or plan to, or if inflammatory bowel disease symptoms develop or worsen. Serious allergic reactions and severe eczema-like skin reactions may occur.
I found help. I found relief. You're not alone.
Ask your dermatologist about Cosentix.
Right. Yeah, test drive of this thing.
Yeah.
Test drive of this thing. It wasn't until the first video that I thought was like, hey, I'm going viral, you know, like 300 views or 150 views compared to like 5,000 or 10,000, was a video that was called "A Tractor Trailer Almost Ran Me Over." And the thumbnail was like, you know, me like first person, and then a tractor trailer pulling out right, like really close to me. And that was kind of like, oh, you know, I can word things a little bit differently.
A little bit clickbait doesn't have to be bad. It's like ethical clickbait, but it's like what happened, like the drama of the story. You were out on a test drive that actually happened. That became the angle, the title.
Right.
You grabbed a frame from the GoPro.
Right. But that was still very like, it was all reactive.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't later until I started being, you know, proactive and dialing that stuff in.
So what was phase 2 on either channel when you stepped up from a GoPro, and what'd you step up into? Camera-wise, editing-wise, and was it still all you editing your own videos and thinking about your thumbnails?
So shortly after the bikes and beards thing, I brought on an editor. That was a pretty big deal.
Okay.
And that might have been a Tim Smoyer thing. Like, hey, you need to bring on an editor. The dealership was making enough money. The channel was making some money, and it was I don't want to function without an editor. You know, because I don't want to do that stuff.
Was it local, or did you Dropbox the footage?
Local.
So you brought on a shooter as well, or were you still vlogging?
He was the shooter, a little bit of vloggy stuff.
Yeah.
But he was the shooter, editor. I normally have, I like my guys to be shooting and editing, especially now because it's so, when it's, for a test drive, anyone can edit it. But for the stuff I'm doing now, like, I don't want to have to explain it to someone, like what's going on. You know, we dump like 37 hours of footage with them. It's easier if they were filming it.
Yeah.
And then kind of do all that stuff.
Okay, so phase 1, and this is kind of cool because people can map their own career to this. I mean, you start with what you have, you start messy, you start just hitting record and maybe no editing.
Right.
And you practically built up incomes coming in now from the YouTube channel and from the dealership. So you reinvest into hiring somebody.
Yep.
Contractor at first?
No, just straight up employee.
So you went employee. So you turned, when did this, in your mindset, you're like, this is a business, and you incorporate? From day one, or?
Day one, because it was already a business.
Yeah.
The dealership was a business.
So the dealership is the business. This is the marketing media arm of that.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, okay.
And even then, I knew where I knew where I wanted to go with it, and I knew that, like, we are a production company. No, we were an awful production company, but we were a production company. And like in 5 years from now, I'm like, man, I don't know if I'm going to be selling motorcycles still, but I knew I needed to do it right now. But that's the mindset that we were going with, you know?
Yeah. Okay, so then did you step up into fancier cameras? Do you know what the gear was, your next step up?
We went to, for me, when we were, like, the stuff, the way my mind was working at the time, and still kind of is, you know, like DSLR types cameras, that they were generally made for pictures and some video. So I was like, I need a camcorder. I need something that can run for 8 hours nonstop. So we were getting like Sony camcorders, and I still have the first one we bought. I don't use it anymore, but it's still sitting there, and it took so much abuse. Like, it took abuse, and it still works. And then we stepped up to like maybe a $1,500 or $1,700 Sony camcorder, and I still like them. But I don't. We also use iPhones. I don't try to get too caught up, and I know every time I bring in a new camera guy, he's all like, let's bring up the production level and let's get all this stuff, you know, and I tell people not to get too wrapped up in that stuff. You know, everyone thinks that they can buy their way into views, and that's often done with like, you know, I got to get a camcorder, I need this and this, and I mean, you guys have beautiful cameras and they look great, but you could do without it. You know what I mean?
100%.
You know, those could be all iPhones.
Yeah.
When you're done, you put them back in your pocket, and you take the phone from. So I don't like to. But yeah, so right now we have a lot of action cameras, and the Sony cameras. I think the next camera I'm going to get, I'll probably do what you guys did and get a couple of the same ones, but it's the FX3.
Yep.
The Sony FX, which is that's what these are. Yeah, I hear they're great cameras.
Yeah, they're amazing. We love them, and I mean, even if it's just a GoPro on your helmet, if it's a good review and it's informational, then people can enjoy that. And if the content is good, and then if the storytelling is good, when did it become commonplace for you to start putting out million-viewed videos?
That started on the next level when I was like, okay, I got as far as I can go with myself. Who's the next guy? Who's the next guy who can help me out?
Yeah.
And I stumbled upon Daryl Eves.
Yep.
Your arch enemy.
Yeah. Arch enemy and good friend.
Yeah, right. I stumbled upon Daryl Eves and did a consult with him. And, you know, anytime, like I said before, anytime you want to go to the next level, and you know, it's not like a Disney movie. You're not going to find it inside yourself. You got to go to other people, find experts who've done it, find people who, you know, like you, who've worked with tons of other creators. You know, you see patterns I don't even have access of seeing because I only see my own stuff.
Yeah.
So I kind of went with, I started working with Daryl, and pretty shortly after I had my first like million-view video. It was commonplace. Maybe I was like 19. I was like 2019.
Yeah.
It was normal to see a million-view video, but even up until like 2 years ago, I consider myself I had the biggest peaks and lowest valleys of anyone else. Of the other YouTubers that I knew, like no one was hitting the numbers I was hitting, but then also the awful numbers that I was hitting, and that was like I gotta figure this one out.
So I want to break this down, and one of the things that I think, you know, one of the things I love about Daryl is I feel like he specializes more in entertainment.
Right.
And you wanted to go broad appeal entertainment.
Right.
One of the things we specialize probably more in education and a lot of professionals, and even leaning search-based for niche coaches and marketers and business owners and stuff. And there's overlap principles, so I'm excited to get into those, because what did you learn that led to that first million-viewed videos? Was it storytelling?
No. I did learn that with Daryl, but what I really learned was what do people want to see? And that was part of the recon and research phase of like that video just blew up. You know, when you see someone else's video that they got a really small channel and it just blows up sky high, you really need to take a second look at that video. And oftentimes it's the thumbnail and title, but like, what did they do right? And see if you don't copy it, but like Solomon says, there's nothing new under the sun. So try to get inspiration from it. And that's what I did. I saw another channel, his video popped off. I like what he did. How can I do that better than he did? And how can I observe him and be like, that's why people liked it. And it was an unboxing video where I bought a brand new motorcycle from Amazon. And people at that, when I first saw it, I was like, that's interesting. I didn't know you could buy a motorcycle from Amazon. And so did everyone else who watched the video.
Yeah.
And they wanted to see how it all played out.
And then then you storytell through getting the box, opening up, assembly.
Right.
How was it? And I saw one of your most recent videos. It was another unboxing, but you said this looks like a giant laptop.
Right.
But it's actually a motorcycle of some kind.
Right.
Okay, so are you lately one of the biggest trending words with like Mr. Beast launches view stats? Software like vidIQ has the same feature. 1 of 10 has the same feature. Outliers.
Yeah.
Are you looking at outliers?
Absolutely.
So you're looking at outliers from other channels. From your perspective, if that's new to the audience listening, what is an outlier?
Yeah, so an outlier is someone who has a low subscriber count, or a high outlier is someone who has a video that went so like 10x, 20x, 100x beyond their subscriber count.
Yeah.
So their normal videos are, let's say it's 100,000, or normal videos are 1 million, but that one video, a million or 100 million, you know, I mean, it just blew up completely out of their subscriber. It's why, like, you could see a video like, oh, this video got 2 million views. I'll do one like that. But then you go back and you realize, oh, this person normally gets 5 million views a video. Don't copy that video because that didn't work well for him, you know?
Yeah, they might have got 2 million, but they had 5 million subscribers, so it actually wasn't great. Whereas sometimes you'll see somebody with 80,000 subscribers gets 2 million. You're also like, wow, they punched above their weight class for subs, but even above their weight class for their average views.
Right. And those are the ones that you need to look at and be like, read the comments, really dial in and be like, what did they do that was so right?
Yeah.
And I get a lot of inspiration, like, cross genres. Like, I've got a friend, she's got a very girl channel. You know, her target audience is like 8-year-old to 24-year-old girls. But I watch her stuff because, like, it's the same thing, just in with motorcycles. You know, it's like she'll do a video like, I bought a bunch of I bought a container load, shipping container load of used, like, girl clothes stuff. You know what I mean? And I'm like, oh, girls like that. What if I buy a shipping container load of motorcycle stuff?
Yeah.
And it works, you know what I mean?
Kind of a storage wars, kind of a...
Exactly.
You bring the story, what's inside of here, they're discovering it with you. Yeah, I love that. And so when you started also stepping into getting 1 million views a video, what does it really take? The level of ingredients, amount of footage you've shot, amount of planning, amount of editing, thumbnails, etc.
Well, I think I've done it before. I've been able to get 1 million view videos with very little of that stuff, and I've been able to get 1 million view videos with a lot of effort. But it all comes down to the idea and the thumbnail. But like, the biggest thing would be the idea. And, you know, this is something I, you know, learning from Jimmy, watching Jimmy stuff, Mr. B stuff, and I spend much more time on the idea. And if it's not a good idea that I think it's going to work, I'm not going to spend the other time. Does that answer the question?
It does. But now that once you've verified or vetted the idea and you feel like, oh, I feel that's gonna be strong.
Right.
What now? Fast forward to today, where you're consistently pumping out these high view videos. How much does go into a typical video?
A lot of time. I mean, I spend 8 hours myself personally just on the thumbnail.
Okay.
Maybe 40 to 50 hours. Just the editor working it by himself, another 8 hours, me and the editor working on the final edit. The shoots, you know, could take, just time-wise, like months to shoot, depending on, you know, like gaps. You know, I mean, we can do something here and we can't, you know, not months straight, of course. But I say a normal shoot is like 2 to 3 days. And you have multiple ideas running at the same time? Like maybe you're working one idea? I'm not there yet. Like, but I'm looking at hiring a producer, and then it would be multiple ideas at the same time. I don't have the capacity for that. I got to focus on one thing. So up until recently, it's just been, we shoot, we edit, we upload. Yeah. I got the occasional video that like needed months in advance of like me ordering something goofy, you know, but other than that, I'm working on that. Do you want to get your first or next 1,000 subscribers on YouTube faster? For the first time ever, we are hosting a free one-day event at videogrowthday.com. During this one-day online event, you will learn our step-by-step YouTube success system for getting views, subscribers, and making money. You'll get to connect with the Think Media team and be a part of community, conversation, and a bunch of cool giveaways. And you'll leave with your personalized YouTube game plan for success. So to register, just go to videogrowthday.com or click the link in the show notes. Now, let's jump back into the episode. So, I mean, this is now more of an advanced conversation because, you know, we talked about phase one, and you've made the point that if you have a strong enough idea, it doesn't have to necessarily take hours of time or fancy editing or all this other stuff. However, for the consistency of what you're putting out right now, these are mini movies. Right. Right. And you can have a really strong idea. The chances of you having it multiple times in a row, you know, like, you know, if I those videos like that people do with just their camera, and it's like, I got something to tell you guys. You know what I mean? And it's just like just straight through 30 minutes. They're telling what happened, and you're interested. You can only do that once. You know what I mean? But when you want to get to that next level, yeah, it's a mini movie, and we spend a lot of time, and we storyboard, and the idea has been on a board for months. You know, that like every idea is great when you first come up with it, but then think about it later, like, nah, it's kind of a dumb idea. You know what I mean? That's why you don't do the idea right away.
Okay, so in a second, I want to talk about this new channel, because you came out with all this knowledge. You launched a new channel, and respect, YouTube genius. I mean, you have gained the experience, and you've had mentorship, and now you're able to kind of see how the matrix works and dodge bullets in the process. But saying that, at this advanced level, and people that are wanting to get there, what kind of team goes into this right now?
So with the new channel?
No, before we get to the new channel, up into the production of right now, and are you still doing the reviews and the main content? How many people helping? Is it just one?
Yeah,
or what's the team?
So for the review channel, that can be done, like, other than the business side of things, for the review channel, that can be done with just me. I can film that whole thing myself if I wanted to, and an editor video.
How often are those videos going out?
Maybe twice a month. At best, twice a month.
Yeah.
The SRK Cycles channel is such a huge, like a 2,600 video catalog, that I need to spend a little more effort on that one. But it's a good channel and keeps on bringing in revenue every month.
Are motorcycle companies sending you free motorcycles?
The electric bike companies are always trying to send me stuff. I don't want any more of them.
Yeah, okay.
But I have got a few motorcycles I've gotten 1 or 2 from Harley Davidson. But I'm actually surprised that I don't get more free bikes.
Yeah.
Because my review videos, like, you'll see Motorcycle Magazine, and they get like huge production. They get 7,000 views. You go to my channel, and 500,000.
They at least give you lenders?
I'm having a tough time. They said they would.
Yeah.
But they want me to fly out to Vegas. They want me to fly out to California to test drive all their stuff.
As opposed to getting it to you or something happens.
Right. I'm working on that. I don't have the time and energy, but I'm about to bring someone on board just to make those connections.
Yeah, I think that's, how can people reach out to you? You're building your team. And I think that's one of the big opportunities. I have this conviction where people say, oh, do you think that everybody can succeed on YouTube or like be full-time on YouTube? And I'm like, I actually do. They might actually be full-time on YouTube because they hook up with a team. They're like, you might not be the personality. You might be able to be an editor. You might be able to be somebody that sets up sets as teams grow.
Right.
You look at a Mr. Beast team, which seems crazy, but it's actually more common than there's a long tail of people at different scopes, and you're setting up sets. There's a lot of logistics.
Right.
That you probably. So, what are some of the roles you're hiring for?
A producer. That's a big deal. I could probably handle 2 videographers right now. Or, like I said, I like videographers and editors, so I could do 2, unless they were both doing each. One just full-time videographer, 1 full-time editor. You might know I forget what the name of this is, but like influencer brand manager.
Yeah,
like the guy who goes between, connects me with the other brands.
For your brand partnerships.
Just someone who that's all they do, and then they would also kind of help optimize and manage like the Shopify store and the merch and stuff like that.
So you launched merch.
Yeah, we launched merch, and then even before that, we launched products. Like, when I was small enough and I was like, I'm not getting any brand deals, I was like, I'll just sponsor my own video, and we started launching products. So we launched a motorcycle tie-down strap like 6 years ago. And then we launched our own gloves. And then recently we launched a motorcycle fast detailing spray, which we launched that on a live stream, and we sold $140,000 in 4 hours.
Wow.
On a live stream.
What companies did you work for to do like these higher level products, probably for that are quality, as opposed to just printing your logo on a Teespring t-shirt?
Yeah. So with the first one was the straps, and Harley Davidson used to transport their motorcycles with these endless straps. So you would imagine like a ratchet strap, and it would go back into itself. And they were 1 inch, and all the Harley dealerships, the guys loved them. but they hardly stopped shipping the bikes out with those, so that their supply was dwindling because they would run out and they would give them away. And I found a guy who was making, or a company that was making straps just like that, but 2-inch. Went up to 1 inch is good, 2 inches better. So I just contacted that company and just started getting my own printed up, put my name on it, and then started selling them through our Shopify store and then also through Amazon.
Oh, that's cool. Smart. Just to identify a product opportunity, email some people, work it out.
And it was a product that before I sold it, I originally just made them for myself. So we, as a dealership, we were always moving bikes. So before I sold it, before I started selling to other people, I had been using the product for like 2 years, and I'm a big component of like, I'm not going to trick my viewers. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to tell you something that I don't use, which is why, like, game sponsorships would be like, hey, push your game. I tell my kids I don't want you playing games. I can't be making money off a game. You know what I mean? Energy drinks, I don't drink them.
Yeah.
So I can't. I don't care how much you want to pay me. I'm not going to push it,
Yeah, that's strong, because also your audience starts to know what you are into, though, builds loyalty and trust, integrity.
Right.
A couple things. I'm excited because you're going to hit some lessons that you wrote down on your phone a little bit later. And I want to hear about this new channel, and then talk a little bit about how you weave your faith into your content and how that's important. But just tell us the story of Bearded Mechanic. You just launched a new channel, and what was the launch like?
The launch, it was good. We launched, I think, 2 or 3 videos at the same time.
Same day, or like 3 days in a row?
No,
really?
Same day, yeah.
Okay.
Right the same day.
Yeah.
And then one of those videos hit 1 million views.
Did they kind of, were they a story tied together at all, or are they just 3 different videos?
Completely different videos.
Okay.
Let me take you back to 6 months earlier. We know we're going to launch a new channel, but people are watching my channel. So we started doing, me and my mechanic, we started doing these competitions on our videos. And I'm like, all right, guys, if Craig wins, he gets a new channel. If I win, we get this. And it was not staged, but like I was always winning. But then at the end, we were like, we did a competition to make sure that he was going to win. And then, all right, that's it. Craig gets his own channel. We launched a channel, sent him a link to it. It instantly got it surprisingly only got 10,000 subscribers, which sounds like a lot, but my main channel had almost 2 million. You know what I mean? But it had no videos at that point. And then a couple months later, we launched the videos, and within he was monetized in 4 days. He hit 100,000 subscribers in 5 weeks, and the channel's doing really well.
Is Craig editing his own videos, or?
My old videographer editor, that who worked with the bikes, or the Bikes and Beards team for about 3 years, he stayed with Craig on the new Bearded Mechanic channel.
And so, what advice would you have for? Because this is kind of like you expanding. You have a show that is entertaining, Bikes and Beards, and he was in videos with you.
Yep.
How long you known him?
About 4 years, maybe.
So you guys meet. He starts becoming. How did you eventually hire him?
Yeah. So he was my mechanic. He had his own shop. Really good guy, and I couldn't really bring him on board because he was kind of doing his own thing. But most of the work he was getting was from us, and then he was kind of in the background of videos. And anytime you bring in a new character, you got to really ease it in. Mm-hmm. You can't just like, hey, here's your new best friend. You know what I mean? You can't just throw him in there. And then he actually had a motorcycle accident, busted his ribs, busted his collarbone. He was in pretty bad shape, but he couldn't work. He couldn't do his own thing. And then at that point, opportunistically, I was like, well, I'll bring you on staff. You know what I mean? So everything you were doing, just do it all for us, which he was already kind of doing that. But so we brought him on staff, and then, he was a great guy. I loved working with him. He was at the time, he was a really good, like number 2, you know what I mean? And then later someone explained to me like the chemistry was straight man, funny man. He was a straight man, I was a funny man. So he was really good at that, and it's really been fun to see him progress in being the lead role in his channel, which like the first couple videos we filmed for his channel, I was watching and I was like, just throw this stuff away. Yeah. Just, it's done. You know what I mean? I don't care what, like we spent a little bit of money on it, but not that much money.
So did you not release those?
No.
Yeah, so that speaks to the process of testing some things out.
Right.
And dialing it in, coaching and feedback a little bit with him too.
Yeah. Right. Like I've made enough video and also coaching the videographer. You know what I mean? Like, hey, this, you need to prod him until he starts realizing what needs to be said, and you know, you need to, like, every once in a while just be like, hey Craig, what do you think about? You know what I mean? Or, hey Craig, what just happened? What's gonna happen? That was maybe the biggest thing. What just happened? What's gonna happen? What do you think's gonna happen? And then if he just continues, keeps on doing that, he'll learn to do it himself. And then he has, and then he's, you know, he's got a great following. And what we're getting is we're actually getting people who watch his channel and then learn about my channel. You know what I mean? Which is really cool.
Yeah, super cool. And so is your vision kind of becoming more media company, more like a network, as you see the possibilities? Now you kind of have gone through a cycle of not just with what you've built up, but now launching, if you will, another character under the brand.
Yeah, right. So I would love to find more people in that space, you know, who are doing motorcycle stuff, maybe even automotive stuff, but it's easier if it's motorcycle stuff, and kind of create this, for lack of a better term, the Bikes and Beards universe. You know what I mean? We're like, they're doing stuff separately. You know, we bring in economies of scale where maybe we all work out of the same warehouse or something like that someday, using the same editors. One guy's making all the thumbnail, you know, stuff like that. And then we all get together and do videos together. You know what I mean? As a, you know, big, like, really fun, epic collabs.
And are you solving for Nashville? Like, or at least, especially videographers, they need to be like boots on the ground, trying to build a team. So anybody that would reach out, you know, ideally want to rally here.
Right. Yeah, I'm in the just south of Nashville area. I like it here, and I like working. I know a lot of people, it makes sense to have an outsourced editor from home. But I really like to be a part of that, and I like people in house.
Yeah.
I want a good group of guys who we all work together and we know each other and we just kind of like live life together. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's awesome. We'll hit your lessons as we land the plane in a second, but I'm curious, you talk about this in your About page about your faith as a Christian. What has been the journey of weaving your faith into your content and things you've learned about that?
Yeah, so when the channel was really, really small, it might have just been SRK Cycles, but we were getting about 250,000 views a month. And at that point, I'm like, man, this is huge. Like that's like football stadiums of people watching the video the whole month. But then I was like, what am I doing with that? You know, like I'm a Christian, and I was like, what am I doing with that? Like that has eternal, you know, standing. And then I couldn't come up with anything better. Like the best thing I can come up with, I'm like, all right, let me just do before my test drive, I'll call it like words of wisdom, and I'll just say a Bible verse before I get on the bike and actually ride it on my test drive videos. And I talked to my team, and they were like, yeah, that sounds kind of hokey. And I'm like, I don't know, but I'm just gonna do it and see how it goes. And every video, SRK Cycles or Bikes and Beards, we just kind of, we throw a Bible verse in there. You know, I believe that for some people, that might be the only bit of truth that they're going to hear that whole day, that whole week, you know what I mean? Because Scripture is truth. And we got a lot of hate from it. We still get some hate, but now it's just kind of baked into the cake. And I love comments where people are, you know, I'm an atheist, but I still like those Bible verses. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like that. That's really cool. And you know, I'm not going to stop doing it.
Yeah.
It's just it's what I feel. But the better ones is when we can weave the story around the verse. Because right now it's kind of an interruption. It's kind of
like, how do you do it? Give me an example. Like, call it out.
So now during a montage or something, I'll be like during all, I was like, while I'm doing all this fun motorcycle goofy stuff, I was thinking about one of my favorite Bible verses, and then I just throw it in there.
Yeah.
So it's very, it's not very thought out. But every once in a while, we get to like, okay, here's the video. We use this Bible verse, and we'll weave it into the thing. So by the end, the Bible verse kind of ties into the rest of the video. And when we can do that, I'm
How do you
really
can you remember a verse that tied in to the rest of the video?
We did. I can't. But we did something where we gave this bike away to this kid who he was he went through Teen Challenge. He was addicted to drugs and just kind of changed his life around. And then he was going out of his way to help us do this event. And then we surprised him with this motorcycle. And the verse, I forget what verse it was, but it was something about like, being a changed man or how Christ changed lives and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's cool.
But it worked. It showed what Christ was doing in that guy's life, but it showed us being good. Like we can't do like prank videos where we're abusing our friends and then be like Bible verse, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it was pretty cool.
Yeah, I love that. And I think that's inspiring for a lot of our listeners to think about not just what the content they are creating, but how could it be for a higher purpose?
Right.
Or how could you weave greater meaning into it?
Right.
And, okay, as we land the plane, you wrote down, because when we were first texting, and I want to really acknowledge you, thanks for making this happen.
Yeah.
We, in the middle of our trip here in Nashville, had some hours in the day, and shout out to Gray Box Nashville again. We're actually, shout out to Zach Ford. He just started hooking up. Yeah, I know some people, I know some spaces, and you drove out, and just a lot of really good people here in Nashville. And you can check out Gray Box. Of course, you can check out all your stuff in the show notes, and we always have great resources for all our podcast listeners. But I did ask you going into it, just lessons, and you wrote some down on your phone. What are some of your just tips as we land the plane?
Okay, a couple lessons. One, I learned don't be stingy with your content. And what I mean by that is saying, if you have an idea, it might be 30 seconds in the video, and it might take you 5 hours to make it. If you think it's worth it, do it. And like that's kind of the next level of making stuff.
And when you say 5 hours to make it, you don't mean 5 hours of editing. Do you mean like if we drive 45 minutes from here and get some fireworks?
Yes.
And like actually make a segment.
Right.
Yeah.
Or there was one video where like I wanted to make a serial killer wall. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? With like the way the red yarn.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I was like, this is going to be really funny. It's only a 30-second, it's like a 20-second clip, but it took us like 4 hours to get all the stuff.
You're printing out photos.
I'm printing out photos, and I'm getting thumbtacks. I'm like, where do we get yarn from? You know what I mean? Who has yarn? And then we put it all together, and like, it was a moment that people loved in the video. And, once you get to that level, like, this is the video I want to make. Let's make it. Mm-hmm. And stop looking at it of like, it's going to take me, that's 5 hours, but we can do a crummy version of that. You know what I mean? And we do it right now. Just don't be stingy with your content.
That's great. What's the next tip?
The other one is make videos for your viewers. So, and this is more early YouTube people who are just starting. Don't make videos for yourself. Don't make and don't ever listen to what your mom says about your videos, because she's going to love everything. Make videos for your viewers. And then the next lesson is figure out who your viewers are. So if you have thousands of subscribers, figure out who's watching it and what they want. If you don't have any subscribers, figure out what viewers you want to make content for by looking at other people's data and other people's comments. Because ultimately, if you're making videos for yourself, that's awesome, but don't bother posting them on YouTube, because you're not going to get any views. They're just made for you.
Strong.
The other one is thumbnails need to stop becoming an afterthought. Thumbnails need to be the first thought. I've got some videos that are written down that I'm like, oh man, it's a great story. I'm going to love this. It's going to be a blast. I have not come up with the thumbnail for it. It's going to sit until I come up with that good thumbnail. And thumbnail is probably one of the most important things. If you have a great video, but if you have an awful thumbnail, no one's going to watch it.
Yeah, so strong.
The next one is nobody cares. People come to me like, oh, I got a YouTube channel, I'm making videos. And I'm like, what's your video about? They're like, well, I bought a new rug for my house, or I got a flat tire on the way to the gym, or something, and I'm just like, dude, nobody cares. You're not Logan Paul or some huge or Mr. You're not some huge YouTuber where you can be like, the thumbnail is like, what's inside my pocket, and millions of people care.
Yeah.
You're no people on YouTube. They don't care about you. They don't care about me.
Yeah.
But if you can make them care, if I can buy an Orange County chopper and try to take it, and open that, unbox that, and see what it's like. You know what I mean? Like, they don't have to care, but I made them. I made them ask a question in their mind, and clicking on the video is going to answer it. And that's advice I give to a lot of people. The next one is probably the biggest one. Is just, and I'll probably end up with this one. Learn how to tell a story. I'm convinced that if you can tell a really good story, you'll never be hungry in your life. And you don't need fireworks. You don't need tons of money. You don't need big epic. You don't need nice cameras. Just learn how to tell a good story. I mean, think about this. If you were at a campfire and some old man was sitting down there, and he overheard him say, like, "Did I ever tell you about the one how I lost my leg?" That's the hook.
Yeah.
He told that story multiple times.
Yep.
And he knows how to bring people in. And now you want to know. You're going to start creeping closer. You're going to sit down next to him and be like, I want to hear what's going to happen.
Yeah.
How did he lose his leg?
Yeah.
So if you can learn how to tell a good story, you can do very well with YouTube. And it's the same thing with shorts. Long form and shorts, it's all just tell a story.
That's really good. One of our we've had the most amazing Uber drivers in Nashville. They're all very fascinating. But thinking about the hook, one of our Uber drivers was like, yeah, I normally don't drive Uber, but I broke my leg because I'm a bodyguard for Kid Rock.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, what? Tell us the story.
Yeah,
and he's like, well, there's some people brawling at one of his bars on the Nashville Strip, and a guy got thrown through a glass window. And I'm like, that's also a good story.
Right.
But you have that hook at the beginning, and we're going through, and then we were so intrigued. It was one of the most interesting Uber drives of our life. But
some people do it naturally. Some people are naturally good. I'm not naturally good at anything, but I can learn good enough.
Yeah.
And that's super cool.
That's so great. Well, you've added a ton of value. I'm so grateful for you taking the time to come down with one of your sons and hang out at the studio here. If people want to check everything out, we've mentioned it, and of course it'll be in the show notes, but anything you want to mention or give a call to action to that people can check out?
For my stuff, just go to Bikes and Beards, watch some of my videos. If you're like motorcycles, you probably know about the SRK Cycles channel. And go check the Bearded Mechanic channel and go watch the early videos and kind of watch how we launched that channel. But and then buy all Sean stuff.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And I got one more question for you, but I do want to encourage and thank you for listening this long in the podcast, audio or video. If you got value, like, rate, review, share, and subscribe, and really appreciate. Going to be bringing you more content to help you grow on YouTube. Final question. It's 2024. It feels like competition's always rising and fierce. And man, you've been doing this for 9 years. I've been doing this for years. What would you say to somebody who's wanting to start today? And if you thought about starting right now today, but with no resources, what kind of mindset or just advice would you give as far as parting words to, I want to start a YouTube channel right now. How should I go into this as far as my mindset?
One, you can absolutely start today. There's always more room, always new creators coming up. The mindset needs to be like, nothing's going to stop me, and that I don't need expensive things to do it. Everyone has the device in their pocket that can make videos. The first step, start, make videos. The second step is always buy a microphone that connects to your phone. And then you need to always be a student. I don't care how big you are. The biggest YouTubers are the biggest students of YouTube. And they're doing whatever they can to get that information, to get knowledge. So if you look at it that way, also, this has got to be a long game. Very, very, very few YouTubers pop off right away. And even the Bearded Mechanic, although his first video popped off right away, that was 8 years in the making. You know what I mean? So look at it for the long term and do it. Make make a change, make fun content that people really enjoy.
Sean, thank you so much for coming on the Think Media podcast. Well, if you're anything like me, you're probably feeling pretty motivated after that conversation with Sean from Bikes and Beards. And if you want to keep the momentum going, I have a few resources and action items that I think will help you continue getting results on your YouTube channel and applying what you've learned. First, videogrowthday.com. We are hosting a one-day event. First time ever that we've done this. And you can sign up at videogrowthday.com or click the link in the show notes. And I'm going to be teaching through our 7-step YouTube success system. And you'll also have a chance to connect with the Think Media team, really connect with other content creators and entrepreneurs and business owners that are using YouTube. It's going to be incredible. And so definitely check out the show notes and register for that. Secondly, success leaves clues. Even though Sean's videos are at a high level today on Bikes and Beards, there's still insights from storytelling to the way he hooks his videos. And so definitely go check out his channels as well as SRK Cycles as well. He's got a couple different channels, so we'll link those up in the show notes. And then also major love to Graybox Studios for making this video podcast possible. And if you're ever in Nashville and looking for a place to do music recording, audio recording, or photography, or a podcast kind of like we recorded, check them out. So we'll link to them in the show notes as well. If you got value today, like, rate, review, share the podcast on whatever platform you listen to. And my name is Sean Cannell, your guide to building a profitable YouTube channel. And I can't wait to connect with you in a future episode.
Hey, it's me, your skin. I want to feel extra clean, but will it leave me tight or stripped? I'm craving a balanced cleanse with CeraVe. CeraVe Foaming Cleanser, developed with dermatologists, cleanses and removes excess oil. With niacinamide known to keep me calm and 3 essential ceramides, CeraVe prevents disruption of my natural barrier for a cleanse that gives, not just takes. So we're refreshingly clean. CeraVe Clean. CeraVe Foaming Cleanser from the #1 dermatologist recommended skincare brand.
10 things we wish we knew when we started YouTube. We have 2 special guests. I want you to capture all 10 points, but there's going to be a whole bunch of juicy nuggets in today's session. And one of the things I've learned is that the best possible investment we can ever make is in learning from somebody else who's been there and done that. And mainly because not just from their successes, but even more so from their mistakes. Like, investing in learning is the thing that helps us go faster, because we're like, oh, wow, that just saved me 6 months. That just saved me 2 years. That just gave me that head start. So I'm so excited for today. Our first guest is Homemaking with Denise. She's got an incredible channel, 68,000 subscribers. And I want to welcome her on here to tell us, Denise, tell us, well, first of all, thank you so much for taking the time and welcome to the challenge. But tell us, when did you start your YouTube channel? What's the vision? And what is your, what are you up to on YouTube?
I started my YouTube channel several years ago. And when I started it, I just started it to have fun. And I was just going to talk about makeup and a bunch of things like that. And then I got into just kind of exploring a lot of different things and realized that oh no.
This is your first video. I'm pulling up your first one, so. My
first video. But what I realized was that I didn't want to talk about makeup all the time. And when I just kind of explored a bunch of different things, I realized what stuck was homemaking, cleaning and cooking, and teaching younger homemakers about all the things that I've learned over a lifetime. And so now that's what I'm about. I am like the YouTube auntie on YouTube, and I teach about how to create routines to clean your home, how to cook, how to clean, just how to create and make a home for today's homemakers.
Denise, I'm so grateful for you, and you're so inspiring with everything you do on YouTube. And I can't wait to talk about your tips for how you've monetized in multiple different ways and the lessons you've learned along the way. But our second guest today is Marco, and his channel is called Just Dream Italy. Marco, welcome to the challenge.
Hey, Sean, glad to be here.
Man, so good to finally actually meet you in person on video. I know we've talked a little bit in email, and so inspired by your journey in terms of joining VRA, learning for a while, and then just executing. And I think one of like the fastest growing channels, you hit 1,000 subscribers in like 9 days. You got monetized in like 15 days. But just take us back. Tell us kind of the big vision of why you wanted to start YouTube and what you do on your channel.
Right. So I started YouTube basically on a whim out of an inspiration. So I love Italy, and I love real estate. I love traveling, and I love food. And so I wanted to kind of combine all of these different passions into one channel. And so from what I had seen on the internet, there was really, on YouTube specifically, there was really nothing which was as similar, to that idea. And so I'm like, something done with quality, kind of putting all of these things into one package, I think would be really compelling content.
Man, I love it. And I'm excited to learn more about your lessons and so many powerful tips that we're going to learn today, challenge. And so shout out our guests in the comments. And let's start with tip number 1. You don't have to be perfect to start. Let's start with Marco. And ahead of time, they shared a little bit of tips. And this is one of the things you said. You said you don't have to be perfect to start. Break that down for those who may be a little bit hesitant on the overwhelm that can come with punching fear in the face and pressing record.
Right. So perfection will paralyze you. Absolutely. And it did for me. I had my idea for my channel about a year before I actually published the first video. And I was held back by that quest for perfection. And so, I do kind of regret that I didn't start earlier because of that. At the same time, quality is very important, but you learn how things work by doing it just as much as by investing in the preparation for doing it, and maybe even more. And so by doing 100%, you will get closer to that idea of perfection, although perfection never exists.
Yeah, so true. And Denise, I'm curious for you, think it back to when you started and this whole idea of, we always say start before you're ready. What would you say as far as your journey and maybe those that are, wrestling with all those emotions and thoughts and maybe fear of getting on camera, or what will people think?
I think you just have to, as you said, just punch fear in the face and just do it, because the more you do it, the more comfortable you get. And I never met a camera that I didn't like. So it wasn't hard for me to jump on camera, but I have talked to lots of people who do have a struggle with trying to figure out what to do on camera and how to be on camera. And one thing I did was sometimes I would just practice, just get on the camera and just talk when it's just you and maybe a picture on the wall. So you don't have to be perfect to start, but you do have to start to get perfect.
Oof, dropping bars already, which brings us to tip number 2, which is get clear on your channel topic and strategy. And Marco, you shared a cool quote extending your tip. You said you don't have to be perfect to start, but the more prepared you are, the better it will go. And I love your story of yes, you started and grew fast, but you also, it wasn't like day one, you really started a year ahead of time in some sense because of preparing and planning and learning. So talk a little bit about that idea of the more prepared you are, the better it will go.
Right. So based on my experience solely, and I know that's different for everybody, I was very prepared when I started my channel. I knew exactly what I wanted to do. I had zoned in really on the style that I wanted on my video. Based on other YouTubers that I admire. And so I really knew what I wanted to produce when I started with the channel. And so I think that's why the channel did take off, because I was prepared in terms of the actual filming of the content. I was prepared in knowing how to edit that content. And I knew who the channel was meant for. I knew what the niche was. I was really informed, of other channels who were doing similar things to a lesser quality and already getting a lot of views. And so having that clarity, I think, is what made the channel take off.
Yeah, I love that. And I'm excited to hear from Denise, because when we talk about this, everybody is really in a different place when they start. And I love this quote from the Snazzy Vegan Life. It's important not to compare, because we all start from a different place, a different level of experience, a different background, different understanding of the tech and all those different deals. And I love that Marco is saying, man, I thought through it. I saw the other channels. I had a high level of clarity. But also, Denise, you mentioned, I was actually taking this from one of your tips where you said, I wish I would have niched down sooner. And so if I knew then what I know now, it sounds like maybe you would have thought about, man, if I spent a little more time getting clear on my strategy, or break that down, because you also pivoted. You were all makeup and then eventually went to homemaking. So sometimes we get overwhelmed. Like, if I don't have total clarity, should I just not start? But you started and then you pivoted along the way. Tell us a little bit about your story.
So I got started, as I said, with makeup, and then I decided I wanted to talk about other things, so I changed my channel name to This and That with Denise, so that I could talk about a little of this and a little of that. But in doing that, I was so scattered, I was all over the place. But on the other hand, I was throwing things against the wall to see what stuck. And what I realized that what stuck was the homemaking niche. And so I made a pivot to that, and just recently changed my channel name from This and That with Denise to Homemaking with Denise, because really that's pretty much what I'm about. The other thing was, I really didn't know who I was talking to when I got started. I was talking to everybody. And when you're talking to everybody, you're not talking to anybody. So when I finally figured out that I wanted to talk to that young homemaker, that young bride, that person who's trying to make and keep a home, then I was able to focus in my message and then be able to create videos that were more targeted, that were more specific, and that people wanted to watch.
You're perfect. You're working. You're perfect. All around the world. You're perfect. You're working. You're perfect. All around the world.
Sounds like you need to vaporize that cold.
NyQuil Vapor Cool?
It's NyQuil plus a rush of Vicks Vapors.
NyQuil Vapor Cool, the vaporizing, nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, best sleep with a cold medicine.
How do I start a savings habit?
How to start shaving a rabbit. If you want a simpler way to build a habit, a BMO savings account can help. You'll get a cash reward every month you save.
This year's top prize goes to BMO.
I'm just in it for the saving. But it's nice to be recognized.
Name's Conrad Harrigan, family man. And if you cross my family, well, you'd better pray. We don't ask, we take. And when someone forgets their place, I've got a man for that. Problem solved. You can wish you was.
Mobland, new series streaming March 30th on Paramount Plus.
Yeah, I love your story, and it speaks to, I can relate to, especially my personal channel. I played my first video, so embarrassing. But just starting and then testing. So you started with makeup, then this and that, which is kind of that idea that people think this and that is like everything, like whatever Denise wants to talk about, which, like you said, wasn't a very clear niche, but it was a place to experiment. You saw the success of the homemaking stuff, and I love to see the evolution of your brand, because I've watched your cover art change. I've watched your homemaking with Denise. You've changed the channel name, which I hope people feel is empowering, because this is the whole idea of this tension between, well, Sean, you say start before you're ready, but you also say, like, have a clear strategy. Which is it? Well, it's really both. Like, you got to punch fear in the face and start, but then you can pivot and improve as you go. Or if you're like Marco, then maybe you have total clarity at the start. Either way, it's really a tension to be managed, which brings us to tip number 3, which is video editing helps you improve as a communicator. So Marco shared a tip and he said, really, you're going to get better at telling a story by practicing editing. And we could talk in a second about, you know, in some cases, if you're a business owner watching this, maybe you're not going to edit your own videos and you want to delegate, and we can help you with that. But for a lot of us too, when we're starting, we're going to be doing everything. And maybe you have a passion for editing. But Marco, I am curious about this. I know editing is intimidating for some people, but what is the benefit you found now that you've been posting videos, and kind of break this down about how video editing has helped you become a better communicator and a better storyteller?
Right. So in editing video, I think it's like, let's say it's like writing a story. You know, you get better at writing by putting that pen to the paper and writing. And so authors are really good at writing stories because they're doing it every single day. I think it was Stephen King who said, you know, he would sit down from 9 a.m. until noon, and he wouldn't get up from his desk until he was finished writing, and he wouldn't stop during that time. And he says, you know, I'm not a naturally born good writer. It's like I got good doing it because I had that schedule and I was always doing it. And so I'm not comparing myself anyway to, you know, Stephen King, but the principle is really that by doing something, you're getting better. And editing is a form of communication. Making a video is a form of, you know, you're transmitting ideas, and there's a certain structure to it that you'll find by, you know, continually doing that. You know, like an opening, a hook, there's development to it, and then, you know, going to the end. And by editing more, what I found for me is that I've learned how to pace things better. I've learned how to go fast at times and then pull back and slow down, introduce music to kind of, you know, propel part of the story forward. And you really find your voice in video via editing, I feel.
Yeah, and I mean, when we look at your videos, they're really like works of art, and you could tell the intention you put into all the details, from color grading to cameras and to drone shots. I mean, it also makes me, I'm like, man, I got to get out more. Like these places are inspiring in your channel. It's clear to see the excellence and the attention to detail that you put into this. But I'm also excited, Denise, because you know, all of us, we have such different niches. Like there's room for all of us on YouTube with different styles of content, whether it's like this kind of premium level travel, beautiful shot stuff, and whether it's maybe more practical videos around the home. And so I'm curious for you, who edits your videos? Do you edit your videos? How'd you overcome the tech and I mean, even these shots you're doing here? I mean, you got these different shots. Your game has evolved. What has been your progress, Denise, or process of learning, editing, and getting comfortable with the content creation process?
Well, this is kind of funny, but I used to be a university professor. So, and one of the things we would do is we use video in our lectures, but it was new technology then. So I would go to Studio M, which was the studio where the professors and students could come to learn how to do stuff. And we used Adobe Premiere. And you know, there is a huge learning curve to Adobe Premiere. So every day I would go to learn how to do a video for class. And so when I started my YouTube journey, whatever I learned for class, I would practice on the weekend for my YouTube channel. And if I had a question, I would bring it. And I mean, I felt like students wanted to go like this when they saw me come in the door, because like, oh no, she's back. But I was determined to learn how to do these things. And one of the things that I realized, you know, we always talk about show, don't tell, but with video, you're actually able to show as you're telling what's going on. So for me, the thing about video is that it's helped me to tell a better story, but to be more succinct in the telling of that story. And I tend to be kind of chatty. So one of the things that I've learned with video also is that you got to trim it down. People just don't want to hear all of that. And so a lot of times me and Mary both laugh because we're both very chatty, but it's like we have to try to bring it in.
Man, this thing is so many powerful tips already, and really practical stuff that we can apply. And I want to encourage you, challenge, this is possible. This is learnable. everything is figure outable. And this brings us to tip number 4, which is make a money plan that doesn't depend on YouTube ads. We're going to start with Denise on this one. And I love this tip because, of course, one of the cool opportunities on YouTube is that YouTube will pay us for views once we get monetized. And that can actually be a significant significant income stream depending on the size of your channel and how many views you're getting. But the way that Denise kicked this off in our kind of pre-notes is she said she wishes she would have monetized sooner, not just with YouTube ads, AKA the YouTube Partner Program. And so Denise, what do you mean by that now that you look back and some of the things you would have done differently?
Well, when I first got started, everybody wants to get into the YouTube Partner Program. You think that's the end all to be all, the holy grail. But what you don't realize is that there are other mechanisms to gain financial resources when you're on YouTube. And I just didn't want to hear it or see the vision at first because I wasn't as confident in myself early on. But one of the things that was happening as I was creating my channel was I tend to wear aprons in most of my videos, and people started asking about that. And like, where do you get your aprons? And I thought, well, why don't I start selling aprons? So I did create my business, Apron Diva, as a result of organically from people wanting to know where I'm getting my aprons and all that kind of thing. So it just kind of grew organically. And I think having your own product as a YouTube creator is important because it gives you a little bit of independence. And also affiliate marketing can be a nice little chunk of change if you actively work at it. So I wish earlier on, those were things that I would strategically have thought about. Early on, I didn't. Like I said, I was just starting out just to have fun, just to do this, just to do that. So then when it came to me figuring out, okay, now it's time to get serious, then I had to come up with a strategy to do that. So creating my own business was one way of doing that, but also the Amazon Influencer Program is another approach that I'm looking at right now, as well as more affiliate marketing.
Lean cuisine, always a good source of protein and under 400 calories. Flavorful, not calorie-full.
For automatic delivery. For 5% repeat savings. For life with pets, there's Chewy. With new diamond weave texture, Charmin Ultra Strong cleans better so you can use less.
Get 0% APR for 60 months on 2024 GMC EV models.
Sometimes it takes a different approach to see the possibilities all around you. At Capella University, you'll get the dedicated support you need every step of the way.
More affiliate marketing.
Your story is so inspiring. And when did this all, I mean, I believe you told it in a previous interview we've done, you were kind of maybe shifting into more of a retirement season and looking to create extra income streams. And so what was kind of that progression? I mean, you went into this thinking, is it possible to do that? And your mindset as far as what's possible for people of all ages here.
Well, and see, that's the thing. Like I said, I wasn't looking for YouTube to replace my income because I was comfortable. I was in retirement. I was just having fun. I wanted a purpose while I was in retirement. And then I realized, if there is money to be made, we could take more trips. We could go visit the kids more. Maybe we could take a cruise. I want a new kitchen. So there's all kind of things that I realized that if I was strategic about it, that I could do with the various monetary streams that I might be able to get from YouTube and not just be dependent upon my retirement income.
Yeah, I mean, I love that vision. And it's really so exciting to think about the opportunity, the internet and YouTube and all these different ways of making money. And as a reminder, I know commitment is the foundation of all great accomplishments. And so on Friday, we're going really deep on the money conversation and going to be helping you build a money plan on the session number 5 of the challenge. So don't miss that one. But Marco, I'm curious for you, as you went into this, how you were thinking about monetization. Was this all a hobby? Was it like, maybe if I monetize someday? Did you go in to this with a money plan, and what are kind of the lessons from your perspective?
Yeah, I didn't have a money plan. I went into it as a passion project that I thought had lots of potential. And I knew that there was a potential, of getting YouTube ad revenue, sponsorships, but also just by the nature of showing homes that people are selling, making partnerships with agencies that are selling those homes. And also by me showing myself as a person who's going out and seeing homes, the potential of having people from abroad, specifically an American audience, see me as like a consultant, like a property hunter for them as well. So I vaguely knew that at the beginning, but actually starting the videos was a passion project with the hope that, somehow this will all materialize. I had no money plan at all. That being said, it all did work out. Really, I love what Denise said at the beginning. You just think like, oh yeah, you get into the YouTube ad program and, you start making lots of money. And that's not the case. You can't rely 100% on the ads. And after like the first months of being monetized, I had lots of views, and, the ads aren't enough, to pay you a salary. And so, luckily, within a few months, I was contacted by sponsors who were interested in working with my channel. And a few I had to reject because I didn't think they were good fits, but most of them have just been very appropriate for my channel and, great interests for me. And in the meantime, also, those other two kind of sources which I had thought of, the selling the homes, but also a kind of a consultancy for people looking for homes, have materialized. And so I've sold a few homes via the videos and have gotten a part of the commission. And I've started collaborating with one of the biggest kind of buyers agencies for Italy's for people abroad who took interest in the channel as well, and have become a consultant. And so basically in the span of, when did I say? Yeah, about 12 months now, almost 1 year I'm going on. I left my corporate job because I was working a corporate job full time. And it got to the point where I was making as much income doing that. And I'm like, no. So I gave my notice, and I've just been dedicating myself to this since the beginning of this year, 2024.
Marco, this is so inspiring, because I think as we talk about outside of the box, the opportunity to be a consultant, the opportunity to partner with people that are listing homes and get in on commission and to create deals on top of kind of what some of us maybe think of, maybe the traditional things like YouTube ads, brand deals. And it really speaks to why the creator economy and this content creator, starting YouTube channels really can lead to a lot of open doors that we maybe would have never expected. And congrats on all your success. It's very, very inspiring, which brings us to tip number 5, which is prepare and think about the future. Now, we've touched on this one a little bit, but to give us context, let me kick it to Denise here first. You talked about being strategic about your content, but specifically now you say plan ahead quarter by quarter. Mm-hmm. So Denise, break that down. What are some of the things you've learned about the power of being prepared and planning ahead?
Well, I can probably tell you more about the power of not being prepared and planning ahead. Because, sometimes I can be a little scattered. And what I realize when I'm scattered is that I'm throwing up videos. And granted, they're videos that are relevant either for the season, relevant for my viewer. But I haven't really strategically thought about, well, how do you connect maybe a specific product that I can promote so that I can monetize with this product for this particular video. And when I am more focused and plan for the whole quarter, I know each week what I'm talking about, then I can be more strategic about planning. Okay, so which product do I want to talk about that is relevant for this particular video? what kind of sponsorship can I look into planning ahead that's relevant for this particular season? Like right now, everybody's doing spring cleaning. What particular products and sponsorships can I get that's relevant for that season? So when you plan ahead like that, if you're ahead of the curve, then you can be more strategic about the things that you do, and then your income will show up as a result of that. And I'm not always as focused as I should be. Now, when it comes to Thanksgiving and Christmas, I'm on it. I start my Thanksgiving content in September, so by the middle of October, I'm done. When people are looking for Thanksgiving content, I want them to find me, and my revenue goes way up. But it's like after Christmas, I just kind of relax, and then I'm not as strategic, and so then it shows up at the revenue.
Yeah, and Rosalind and Rob just said genius. There's some serious bombs being planted. The power of planning, and as we learn these seasons, Snazzy Vegan Life said, planning quarters and seasons makes so much sense. And Cherise said, light bulb moment. There's been a lot of light bulb moments, man. It's so inspiring getting to talk to you both. And I do want to keep it moving on point number 6 here. I want to kick it back to Marco, which is pace yourself and play the long game. If you're ready to get serious about starting and growing a successful YouTube channel, then you're going to love vrapodcast.com. For a limited time, we have a special sale happening on our YouTube course and coaching membership that includes the online course, the 80-page workbook, and access to the private community. Inside of this program, you have everything you need for starting a successful YouTube channel all in one place. You get access to checklists and resources that will save you time, reduce stress, and help you reach your YouTube goals faster. But also, the most powerful part is the community. It's not just other creators and entrepreneurs that are ambitious and reaching for their goals, but it's also the Think Media faculty that's in your corner, answering your questions and helping you stay motivated on your journey to YouTube success. And for a limited time, we are running a big sale at vrapodcast.com. So if you want to check it out, just click the link in the show notes or go to vrapodcast.com. All right, let's get back into the episode. And so, Marco, you talked about your investment will pay off. The beginning is a grind in the dark, though. And so talk a little bit about, it's not only in a year you quit your corporate job, but also the previous year. And I know for some, we say your race, your pace here at Think Media, because I've interviewed hundreds of creators and entrepreneurs now, and some people broke through year 7 and that was full time. Some people broke through month 7 and went full time. And so it really isn't about comparison, but talk a little bit about the real grind, the grind in the dark, and having maybe a long-term mindset and pacing yourself.
Right. So at every milestone, you think you've made it. But having a successul YouTube channel isn't like making a Michelangelo sculpture where, it then sits there for eternity in its glory, right? You have to keep on going. And so as soon as you finish a video, you're not done. Like, you have to start thinking and doing the next video. And it's very important. It ends up becoming a process. It ends up becoming a job once you get to that point. And so you're never done, and you really have to pace yourself. And I think it's a really important point, because it doesn't mean you're going to have success, immediately, and then, the money starts rolling in. No, you have to make it a sustainable process. You have to make it a kind of sustainable effort for yourself as well. Otherwise, it just stops. There is YouTube burnout.
Yeah, that's such a good point, Marco. And Denise, one of the things you said was breathe more and plan breaks. And I want to hear about this because, one of the things we've learned at Think Media, we've been doing this stuff I've been doing it since 2007. Our company really kind of started to formulate this recent era, 2016, so about 8 years that Think Media was a couple people and now like 30 people. And one of our core values is built to last. And we are being thoughtful about, okay, what is a sustainable pace? There's actually a new book that's coming out or already out called, I think it's called Slow Productivity, from Cal Newport, who wrote the book Deep Work, and just kind of talking about that we need a new set of skills in today's world to where it's one thing, of course, we got to be competitive, and certain seasons where we hustle, and certain seasons where maybe it's Thanksgiving or Christmas, and that maybe becomes the Super Bowl. If you're doing Thanksgiving is Denise's Super Bowl in a way, like that's the time to really work hard. And we're always trying to figure out those rhythms as well, because we want to be built to last. We want to be here for not just short-term success or some one viral video, but for the long haul. And that takes wisdom and that takes systems. But you said breathe more and plan breaks, Denise. And so break that down and some of the lessons you've learned having done this for a while to not burn out and make this sustainable.
Well, if you're constantly putting out videos every week, and sometimes 2 and 3 videos a week, and you're trying to be more creative, and then you've got to do all the things, especially if you're a solopreneur, you can get tired, you can get exhausted and burn out. And I'm a solopreneur. My husband will sometimes help me look at the lighting and things like that, but for the most part, I'm doing it all. And if you're doing too much, you wear out, and then you're no good to yourself or to your viewers. So you have to take some planned times, excuse me, you have to take some planned times where you just step away from the camera, just have maybe a week or 2 weeks off, and just relax and rejuvenate. And then you can come back with some fresh ideas. Because your people can tell when you're getting tired.
Yes, so strong, which brings us to tip number 7. Here we are. Systems are the key to consistent success. And so, man, we love systems here at Think Media. I would say that systems save lives. And that's one of the huge keys of not just consistent success, but also avoiding burnout and having a system you could follow. The way Marco put it was, I forget, but it's on here some way. Something about systems. Marco, break it down. You kind of talked about routine systems. Here it is. Have a coffee and go through the system you've put in place. Doubting yourself is normal. Being tired, being ready to throw in the towel is normal. But have a coffee. Cheers. But talk a little bit about that, about workflows, systems, and those, helping in this YouTube game.
Right. So systems help in that moment of desperation, right? And so it happened to me one time. I was shooting a video. That video, in the meantime, I think got 110,000 views, in which I was ready to throw in the towel. And I was just so tired. I was shot just because of the pace at which, I was shooting the videos, I was editing, I was doing everything. At that time, I was still working my corporate job. And, I was in the middle of a piazza filming a church, and I'm just like, I'm not inspired. I'm just getting so upset. This isn't going to work. Everything is terrible. The perfection is talking to me. And then, I just put everything away, went to a cafe down the street, and I got a coffee. And I at that point, I had a breather, had a coffee, and I realized, Marco, you know what shots you need to get. Even if you're not inspired, go and get those shots and worry about it in the editing room. And it worked. I got everything. And actually, after having lunch later on in the day, the inspiration hit, just because I was going through the process, which for me in that case was like the shots I needed to get, the drone shots, get that, and that, get the talking shots, get the B-roll shots in this place, that place. I knew it all. I just had to go and do it.
Yes, man, I love hearing that. And it's when we're not inspired, that so stood out to me. We, rather than looking for that inspiration, look at the system, follow the checklist, get the shots. And then later on, you're like, man, it still came together. That's so powerful. And Denise, you have been a part of Video Reiki Academy for a while. And one of the things you talked about was more strategy with RSP. This is kind of a sub point for the challenge. Is yesterday we learned ASQ, answer specific questions. One of the other strategies we teach, we have about 16 of them, or we have actually 16 of them. We go really deep in things like answer specific questions, teach specific skills. RSP is review specific products. And these are kind of like plug and play. Not everybody has to do every single one of these. Maybe Marco isn't doing product review videos in the same way that Denise will, or tutorials. But you, for example, talked about be strategic about your content. more strategy with RSP. Talk about the power of following the VRA system and maybe other routines and microsystems you've applied to build the over 60,000 subscribers that you have on your channel.
Well, it just helps you to focus. When you follow the process, when you follow different little things like answer specific questions or review specific products, it just helps you to have a focus for your content, and it gives your people a reason to come and listen. So one of the things that I realized when I finally niched down was that my people, and my people is usually a her, but sometimes it's a him. But these homemakers are trying to make and keep a home. There's specific products they need to do that with. There's specific skill sets they need to learn. They need to be able to learn how to do certain things for laundry. So when I can come up with answering a question for how to do this or that, or a product that will help them to ease their pain point when they're trying to sort something out, it just makes them keep coming back to my content. So when I think about systems also, one of the other things I was thinking about when Marco was talking was, like for me, I need to have a day where I'm going to be on camera because I'm not always camera ready. So, and there are some days I don't feel like getting camera ready. So there's some things that I need to do to plan ahead so that if we're having a video shoot day, then I need to, okay, so on Monday, I'm going to be ready, and then I'm going to do this, and this. So that's what I was thinking about. And the other thing, and now I forgot the question.
Just systems, yeah, the power of following like the VRA system, and to your point, the other micros, like Marco's developed his own shot lists and different checklists. Better a short pencil than a long memory. And so, yeah, just systems in general and how they've helped you, and what we wish we knew before starting YouTube. You talked about even being more strategic at the start. So that's kind of the context of this question.
The other thing too, though, was when Marco talked about a shot list, I do the same thing. If I'm doing something in the kitchen, I have to plan that shot list ahead of time, or something invariably is going to get missed. And then one of the things that I will do, because it might take me 2 or 3 days to get maybe a certain set of videos done, I'll wear the same thing in all the different videos, so that if I have to get another shot of something, I've got on the same outfit. I can try to relatively get my hair the same way. So if I have to shoot something else, I can flip it in without too much trouble.
Yeah, I love that. And so I would love to know your aha moments so far. We have 3 final tips as we land the plane, but let me give you a quick recap. Number 1, you don't have to be perfect to start. Number 2, get clear on your YouTube channel, topic, and strategy. Number 3, video editing helps you improve as a communicator and as a storyteller. Number 4, make a money plan that doesn't depend just on YouTube ads. Number 5, prepare and think about the future and plan ahead. Number 6, pace yourself and play the long game. And number 7, systems are the key to consistent success. We have 10 total points, and so let's go on to point number 8. This is possible. And this point inspired me because Marco shared this ahead of time. He said, what you see others doing on YouTube isn't impossible. They're normal people that have the same equipment. And so talk about this. I think that, man, I can fall in that comparison trap. We fall in that comparison trap and we think, oh man, I could never do that. But I love YouTube because people of all different backgrounds, shapes, sizes, ages from all around the world are doing this. From your perspective, Marco, now that you've been in this process, what do you mean? And break this thing down as far as what you see others doing on YouTube is possible.
Right. So before you become a creator, you're a consumer of content. And as a consumer, the point of view that you have is that something magical is happening, behind the screen. How are they doing all of this? It's just, you take it for granted that they're doing this because you think that there's something special about them, there's something special about the equipment. But then once you become a creator, you realize that they're doing the same thing that you're doing. Like, I have the same camera that very successful YouTubers have, and they're getting the same ad revenue, the same sponsors that I'm getting, and so it hits you once you start creating, and you start getting, those baby steps towards success. Like, wow, this is possible. What that person did who I admire on YouTube, like I can actually do that. And it's just incredible. That's the power of YouTube.
So inspiring. And Denise, would love to hear your thoughts on this as well, just as your mindset has shifted. And Marco just hit on one of my favorite phrases that we talk about is like, yeah, don't just be a consumer, be a creator. Mm-hmm. Step out. Don't just be a consumer. The most of the world is consumers. Consume less, create more. Join the creator economy. But it can be so intimidating. It could feel so overwhelming. So talk a little bit about this idea of this is possible.
It can be overwhelming and it can be intimidating. And when you look at me, I'm definitely a woman of a certain age. So when you think about most of the women that you see in the homemaking space, they are not in their 70s. They're in their 20s and their 30s and their 40s. So I was a little bit intimidated when I first got started because I'm not one of those young girls. I'm not this and I'm not that. But then I thought, wait, back up. I've made and created a home for more than 50 years. I know what I'm doing. I didn't just do it yesterday. Now I'm trying to show you what I learned yesterday. I've been through some things. And so I realized, just do me. Don't try to be them. Just be the authentic me, and the rest will come. The other thing that I had to learn too, because I think Marco maybe alluded to this just a little bit, is that when you're watching other people and you're watching their videos, you'll think, my video was better than that. How come they have this many views and I don't? And one of my sisters, which kept binging me, which is why I was distracted, it's like she would say, what's for you is for you. And that's what I had to realize, is that, you know what? What's for you is for you. Just do you. Just be my authentic self. And the people that are attracted or that need me will find me. And that's what's been happening. The people that need me are finding me.
Man, so good. And number 9 is focus on the impact and the views will come. Marco, I love that you spoke to this. You know, we talk about wanting to help 1 million purpose-driven people create a full-time living doing what they love on YouTube, our company's mission. And money is important. The business model is important because you need money for the mission. So how can we make this sustainable? But really the people that resonate with a challenge like this and that, love being a part of what we're doing, we find that they're usually like mission-driven people that kind of start with that wanting to make a difference. And I love how you shared, you're like, listen, I didn't really have a money plan. It sounds like, I don't want to put words in your mouth. You could speak to, you wanted to start and help one person or share your creativity with the world. So talk about how, as you focused on maybe impact or excellence or just your craft, that then the byproduct was views.
Right. So the impact that I wanted to make was on my own quest for my vision. And I listened to an interesting interview with, I think it was Casey Neistat, where he was asked, well, what are you thinking when you're making a video? Are you thinking about what the viewers want to see? And he said, no, I'm never thinking about what the viewer wants to see. I'm thinking about what I want to make and what I want to see. And the more passion you have for what you want to make, the more vision that you have, and you focus on that, that's the impact that you want. And so I'm very passionate about the vision that I have for my channel and the ideas that I have. And from the beginning, the views just came to that because I think people resonated. They saw the amount of effort that I was putting into the videos, and it impacted them immediately. So the views come automatically when you're putting out something that's with quality and with passion, and that other people are interested in, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, it's powerful. I think that with the tip on screen, number 9, you could interchange the word impact and with quality, as Marco just said, with something you're passionate about, something that you put a lot of effort into. Competition is highest on YouTube for low effort content. But you could see the love and the detail and the attention to detail that Marco puts in his content as we were sharing it on screen. So, man, when we focus on that, then views become the byproduct. And I definitely know that in today's world, sometimes it's like we're chasing views and we're chasing virality, which I think are a horrible thing to chase, but an excellent reward for focusing on impact. And Denise, you shared about this ahead of time in your tips here. And I love that that's kind of where you are coming from as well. So break that down a little bit. Like you wanted to help people, you wanted to serve people. And I think that's the way you put it. Service was the word you used. Explain that a little bit.
Well, Sean, I just got to a point and I thought, I think once I hit 60,000 subscribers, I just thought, just relax. It'll come. I mean, I want that silver play button, but I thought all in good time, just relax. Like, what is it going to show when you get it? And I decided that I just really wanted to be more of service, to be able to leave a legacy where I really help these young homemakers create the kind of home that they desire. And so I thought if I just relax and just do that, then my views will come, my subscribers will come. And I think more about what do they need, not necessarily what do they want, but so often what they want is sometimes what they need. Like, my house is a mess, I clean all the time, what am I doing wrong? How do I create a routine? And I kind of know what they need because I was them. 30 or 40 years ago, I was them. So I'm creating content for those homemakers today that I might have been in their shoes when I was a young mom, when I was a young housewife, when I was learning how to create these skill sets. But what I know today is that so many of today's homemakers don't have that role model. They don't have that person to help them create those skills. I get so many emails from particularly young men and college students trying to figure out how to do laundry because, now they're away on their own and they're trying to figure out, what do I do that I don't mess up my clothes? So I'm trying to fill that gap that is missing in so many of the homemakers' lives. And it seems to be working because they're finding me.
Sounds like you need to vaporize that cold.
Dayquil VapoCool?
It's Dayquil, plus a brush of Vicks Vapors.
Dayquil VapoCool, the vaporizing daytime coughing, aching, stuffy head, power through your day medicine.
Look at how Oral-B Electric cleans 100% better than regular brushes. It's time to switch.
Saw people who needed me, and I helped them.
I have to do this. My family's in trouble.
You're on my train.
Just you and me.
We have climbing gyms all over the country, so we use Google Meet to connect with our staff. The automated note-taking feature of Gemini has been really valuable. It saves me so much time. We're never going back.
And it seems to be working because they're finding me.
So inspiring. And, over the years, I want to thank you so much for being a part of our VRA community because of your just heart to serve people, your heart for mission. And I do want to pass the question off as we get ready for number 10 and then let our guests shout some stuff out and we'll land the plane here. But what is your mission on YouTube and who do you want to impact on YouTube? I mean, again, I really believe the views will come, but what if we focus on just changing one life? Like, what if, just imagine, we asked a question yesterday, who is waiting for you to show up and take your goals and dreams seriously? Could it be that, like Denise, you want to help a homemaker, you want to help somebody who is overwhelmed by all this, by the practical things of building a home, from cleaning to laundry to the checklist of a million things and managing a home and taking care of a family, and that you could bring them peace. You could bring them community through your channel. You could help them feel inspired or encouraged. Maybe it's somebody that's a business owner that's overwhelmed or stressed because their finances are out of control and they're looking for some peace. They're looking for a system. Maybe it's somebody who needs to laugh and relax because there's a lot of stress in the world right now. So if you could entertain or educate, give them some a distraction in a healthy way after a stressful day. Sometimes I want to watch some just entertaining content. Who do you want to impact? And I heard a quote that said, "Do for one what you wish you could do for all." Don't underestimate the power of one view. Because I think if you take really serious one view in a way like Marco, I just want to make one video that's so excellent, that really has quality, that I'm proud of, and then boom, it resonates. And I really believe if you change one life, that actually that's what multiplies to when then there's 10 views and 100 views and thousands of views. So for you, and I love, man, this is where it gets crazy. And read everybody's responses here. What is your mission on YouTube, and who do you want to impact? As we land the plane, we're going to number 10 is keep going and don't give up. And Marco, I want to thank you again for being here. We'll let you shout everything out in just a second, and I appreciate you. In fact, Marco, where are you streaming from right now? What country?
I'm streaming from the Netherlands, actually.
So grateful for you to come all the way from the Netherlands to our challenge. But one of the things that you talked about was, don't give in. Wanting to throw the towel in is normal, but keep going. And so I know you've touched on this a little bit, but any final thoughts on this idea of the power of just persistence and consistency?
Yeah, it's absolutely essential in this YouTube game. Absolutely. You're not going to have lasting success in 1 year. It's got to be a long game, like we were saying before. And so even when you don't feel like doing it, have the process in place, keep on going. And one video doesn't perform, that's a micro statistic. Look at the macro, the big picture, and where you want to be, not only tomorrow, not only with the next video, but within a couple of years. And use that as your motivation. And so if you see kind of success on a longer term, forget the lows. It's an upward kind of graph, and on that graph there's going to be dips, but it's a journey, 100%, and for me it's been worth it.
Marco, your story is so inspiring, and we're going to hear from Denise on this point in just a second, but give us a shout out to your channel. Of course, the channel is Just Dream Italy. You got to head over there and subscribe for such inspiring and high quality videos and lots of lessons to learn. But anything you have going on, anywhere else you want to shout out on social media, and please share your comments and feedback from Marco in the chat. He added so much value today. But any final words or shout outs, Marco?
No, yeah, I mean, by all means, if you guys are interested in what I'm doing, Just Dream Italy is my channel. If you love Italy, hopefully it's something that you like. Maybe you would discover new places in Italy by seeing it that you didn't know. It's a very beautiful country that I'm in love with. And so check it out, and travel to Italy if you want to.
Come on, you're inspiring me. I got to take our 1-year-old and 3-year-old. Maybe when they're a little bit older, that journey is going to be a little crazy right now, but we are reverse engineering back from our vision as a family, maybe when they're able to kind of walk on their own and not run too crazily away, to get some international travel in. And so, Marco, I want to just thank you for the work you're doing, for the excellence you're putting into it, for how hungry you're making me right now. And for someday, I want to shake your hand when we can travel to Italy. So thanks again for being a part of this stream today. And Denise, you've been doing this for years, and you've seen the ups and downs. You've felt the fatigue. You've felt the challenges. It's nothing smooth sailing. I was just reading a book last night about a coach talking about team culture and stuff like that. And he was like, man, we got to commit to the process, but there's going to be fumbles, there's going to be external circumstances, there might be snow on the ground, it might be raining, there might be, I think of course there's going to be setbacks. Sometimes we're like, oh, maybe if I get through this hard season. Well, no, there's just so many different details in life. And so share a little bit about just how you've stayed persistent, how you stayed consistent, and this idea of keep going and don't give up.
I think for me, being consistent has been being consistent with a plan, being consistent with what works for me. So 1 video a week works for me. 2 videos a week do not. I have a live show that I do every Wednesday night at 7:45. We call it Homemaking with Purpose. So 1 show every week and 1 video a week. That's all I can manage. And sometimes I may put up 1 or 2 YouTube shorts, but I haven't put up any YouTube shorts lately because I've just been too busy doing other things. So you just have to decide, okay, what can you do? What do you have the capacity for? And then work within those goals. And let your people know, let your community know what it is that you're going to be doing and what's consistent for you. And I think building community is also important in keeping going and not giving up, because your community will help give you wings. They will inspire you, and they will encourage you, and they will look for you. So when you don't show up, they'll be like, where's Denise? So those things will help you to be consistent. And then, of course, planning ahead, having that calendar filled out and knowing what it is you need to do and not scrambling, trying to think, oh, what am I going to do today, will also help you to be consistent. So, yeah, you just have to keep going. And some days, as Marco said, it's just one foot in front of the other. But once you get to the end of the week, you're at the end of the week. And then think about, well, what am I going to do next week? And then what can I do 1% better?
So inspiring. And please shout out some of your channels, specifically too. It's so cool to see what you've done with Apron Diva. I'm legit right now going to actually pick up this bunny apron for my wife Sonia, who I don't think is watching this, so it'll be a surprise.
Okay.
And I know she's gonna love it. I saw this, I was like, oh man, this is perfect. She's so pumped for Easter this weekend with our family, and we're having her parents over and my parents over and whatnot. So man, it's so cool. So just the full stuff, like whatever you want to shout out, let us know, and so people can connect with you on whatever platforms.
Well, do visit me at my YouTube channel, Homemaking with Denise. So I teach today's traditional homemaking for today's homemaker. And a homemaker is not necessarily a housewife. A homemaker is anyone who is making and keeping a home. So that could be you by yourself. It could be you and your boo. It could be you and a family. It could be a young man, college student, whoever. So I teach those skills for that entire group of people. But right there in the middle is going to be my young housewife or my young homemaker. It's like right there in the middle. And then the spillover are all those other people. And then, of course, visit me at Apron Diva. We believe that pretty and practical, an apron is a homemaker's best accessory. If you're cooking, cleaning, crafting, gardening, or working out in the garage, you need an apron to keep your clothes clean and mess-free.
Yes, awesome. Oh, Denise, so grateful for you. If you enjoyed this content and want to take your YouTube channel to the next level, just click or tap the link on the screen or go to tube1kchallenge.com to join our next live YouTube challenge. You'll learn our best tips and strategies that are working here at Think Media, and I think you'll love it.
Check out these deals of the week at Walgreens. Shop weekly deals at your store. We're at walgreens.com.
Toyota has 3 NASCAR Cup teams. 2311, owned by these two, but this guy actually races for his team. And they both share the track with the team owned by this guy. 3 teams, 4 legends, all going after 1 cup. Now you're up to speed. You in?
Get more videos done in less time. How do you juggle all of life's responsibilities while at the same time building up your YouTube side hustle or making your YouTube your main hustle and still keeping your sanity and routines and peace of mind, plus avoiding burnout? Well, today we have 2 special guests, and I want to welcome Mr. Right Way first to our stream. How's it going?
How you doing?
Thanks so much for being here, and tell us a little bit about your channel. When did you start, and what is it you are up to on YouTube?
All right, so thank you guys. I am Mr. Right Way, Steve Wright. I'm a retired Navy veteran. I started about 14, 15 years ago on YouTube, just throwing up videos, having fun. Didn't really take it seriously until the pandemic. Pandemic shut everything down, and yeah, look at this old video. Oh my goodness, look at that old iPhone.
Yeah, okay. This is that first
look
video.
At that. You know what? I was gonna make a video, roasted my first video, but here we go. Let's roast this. No, but oh my gosh, look, my hair was like right up here, like way up here. But yeah, I was doing like iPhone videos, tech videos. Me and my friends, like Steve from Tech Buzz, we was doing stuff with that. And then the pandemic came. And I started to take it seriously. I was like, all right, what do I need to do? I love driving. I love going through video games and stuff like that. And I was just like, you know what? Let me put all this together. And it was kind of like a blog, talking about video games, helping people out, helping collectors, because I have a purpose of helping people. I love to help people. And I want collectors to try to find video games and build their collection, say, the right way, you know? I don't want them to spend like $300-400 on games and stuff. If you want to get that game, I'm going to show you how to go get that game. So that's basically what my channel's about. I call it lifestyle video gaming because I talk about a lot of other stuff with in doing the video game lifestyle, like building a game room. Like I just built this game room a year ago, going to Japan, doing stuff with YouTube, going to Africa, just doing different things, trying to help the collector and the normal person just feel like, hey, if we're going to go to Goodwill, I'm gonna be right there with you. So look out for this, get that, and it just kind of have fun. I really like that.
Yeah, well, I'm so excited to hear your tips and everything you've learned as your channel has grown. And I mean, 35,000 subscribers, millions of views on the channel. But our second guest, as we dive into these 10 tips, is Dr. Anna Pleat. Welcome to the show, Dr. Anna.
Thanks for having me. This is awesome.
So grateful you're here. Now tell us, what is it you've been doing on YouTube and when did you start?
Great question. So I jumped on YouTube 13 months ago exactly. It was March 5th, 2023. And I had this burning desire to be able to create a space where I could kind of continue conversations with my patients, but outside of a clinical setting. And everybody knows that when you go to the doctor, you have like 5 minutes with the doctor and you can't possibly talk about everything you want to talk about. And my thing is always nutrition. So I thought, okay, I'm going to make this channel and I want to talk about health and healthy living, but specifically like healthy diet. And when I first started, I'll tell you, I didn't actually have the niche I have now. You know, the world of nutrition is massive, and I quickly learned that I needed to kind of break it down and niche down just within the field of nutrition, because there's carnivore diet, keto diet, vegan galore. I mean, you can imagine, probably a lot of you have seen anything with food or nutrition, there's a huge spectrum. So I was kind of struggling actually in the first few months. I think I was at 62 subscribers 5 months in. And that's when my husband actually found out about this challenge by Think Media. So I did this challenge at the end of July, just last summer. Wasn't that long ago. And it blew my mind, which is what I needed at the time. And I gave myself a double down August, and I committed to making 2 videos a week and kind of kept with that pace for 6 months. And lo and behold, a few months later, hit the monetization. A few months later, past 10,000 subscribers. And that all happened in less than a year, because 5 months in, I was at 62, and now I'm almost at 13,000. So it's been already quite a journey, but I feel like there's still so much more to learn. YouTube is a whole world.
Yes, well, so inspiring to hear your story, and so grateful for you both to add value today. So ahead of this stream, we had Dr. Anna and Steve submit some points, and we've kind of consolidated those points. We're going to start with Dr. Anna here on point number 1, and there's 10 total points I want y'all to capture today. But point number 1 is plan in advance. And so, Dr. Anna, you said have both a long-term and short-term game plan. The audience really loves consistency. So what have you found the importance for staying consistent on YouTube success, and sanity when it comes to planning?
Yeah. I think a lot of us, if we're getting into YouTube, we're probably already in another career, and we usually have other demands in our lives. So I knew if this was going to work, I would have to be extremely streamlined with how I was spending my time doing all of the steps of making videos and publishing them. And so what that meant was I needed to have my short-term plan, which meant, what do I have to do to get this next video out? But the longer term plan, which had to be in my mind at all times, was what is the cadence of videos that I want to be posting? Kind of what's my month plan? And I know that sounds crazy, but I'm a doctor and I have very limited time for things outside of my career in medicine. So I just had to have both of those things in mind as I approached every step of it.
I love that. And you just hit it before, but one of your examples of planning was that for the first months until you hit monetization, go back into that. I love that. It was like a sprint, you called it, or like a double down?
I called it a double down August. So August for my husband and for a lot of Europeans is like the time off of the year. And I was trained for medicine in Italy, so we have kind of a European household, even though we're back living in the US. And so I realized, okay, August is the time where most people are totally off of work. And I'm going to flip the switch on myself and make this the time I've worked the hardest at this. I know some of you are thinking, wow, that's very intense. I've been known to be a little bit intense, but I have to say it was a lot of fun. And it required me to kind of cut out distractions. So I was seeing my friends less. You know, I planned to see them just in the weekend, like as if I was preparing for, I don't know, some big exam. But instead of having to study, I was getting to make scripts and film myself and play in the kitchen and film that. And so it wasn't like studying for something. It was actually a lot of fun. But that focus, I just got into a pace and a rhythm, and getting into a situation is harder than actually just pedaling. Like, think of riding a bike. The first few pedals is like you're overcoming that resistance. There's that acceleration factor, if any of you know anything about physics. So you have to push through that beginning hurdle. But once you're pedaling, your rhythm is just going. And so you'll be able to keep it going more easily than having to start from scratch or having to start from.
Okay, go spill the tea. Pecan.
Confused? Maybe you just need a Snickers pecan.
Where regular brushes miss, Oral-B Electric hits for 100% cleaner teeth.
Free when you sign up for Uber One for students.
Scratch or having to start from full stop.
Genius. And Steve, you mentioned research as part of your process, which is an aspect of planning ahead, but I also take this wherever you want. How has planning out your content or having any kind of content calendar helped you when it comes to being consistent?
It's big, man, because I'm all about visualization. Okay, it's early morning here in Dallas, but yes, I always take my comic book or my comic book reader right here. Just like I have all my notes in here. I put dates on this, and also if I have an idea, I put it in my iPhone, like sitting there in my bed. I'll wake up at 2:00 and I have these amazing ideas and I just write them down and stuff, because I really do think like you need to visualize every video. That's coming from a photography background, wedding photographer also. You need to pre-visualize what you're going to make. So I always say you have a privilege of making videos as a content creator. You know, you can put videos out there, but if you want to take this really serious, you got to actually have an idea and make that video. And when you have it's different to be putting it out there and just putting a video up instead of making one. It's so great. I noticed the views in my videos, like when I just put something up versus something I plan out and take time with. And I was like, wow, it does. People see quality. People like quality and stuff. I go kind of like the Facebook analogy, like when you take a picture on Facebook and you put it up there and it doesn't look all great, but if you put it, like your photo you took earlier, it looks all crisp and great. You put it on Facebook and you're like, it don't look all that great. It's kind of like that in a way when it comes to making your videos and stuff.
Yeah, I love that. So number one, have a plan in advance. And then Steve, we're going to stick with you for number two, set yourself up for success.
Yes.
You mentioned like having camera, lighting, and all this stuff set up, or even having outfits planned out. But speak to, have you always had this room? And maybe speak a little bit to, has there been eras? You've been out here 14 years. I know for some people they're like, I only have my living room, my apartment's kind of cramped. But then there's today and there's the dream. So how has it evolved for you having like a dedicated filming space, and what are your tips for setting yourself up for success?
Like people say, I used to laugh at this, but they said spend money to make money, and that's really kind of true. But you want to be smart where you spend your money at. Like, get this for instance, these lights right here. I have this stream deck, so I just turn this light off right here. You see, it makes so much of a difference when I have this one little button that I can press. I paid $150 for it. One of the best things on my desk that I have. Also setting yourself up for success. Like previous. Putting stuff down, or getting classes, or here's another thing too, billboards. We were talking about thumbnails, and I'm really passionate about thumbnails and stuff. If you driving down the street, notice the billboards and what catches your eye. Notice the colors, notice the pictures, notice the font, notice the placement on that, and whatever that catches your eye in that 2 seconds, put that towards your YouTube thumbnails and titles, because that's quick. That's how quick somebody can look at your video and stuff. I have a group chat with me and my friends, and we always going back and forth about thumbnails and titles and stuff. And I have one friend, he loved these colors. I always call them the Fruitopia colors. I'll say, okay, if you like that, let's work with that, but let's put this, less is more. And the evolution of his thumbnails has got better, and so are mine, but it's just so hilarious about that. I always think about stuff like that when I'm out in the world. I look at movies and stuff, setting yourself up, make sure you have the right camera gear, the right mics, the evolution you was talking about. Back in the day, you saw that first video, I was just holding my iPhone or a camera just doing this in it. And I was like, okay, it's okay. Whatever you start, it's okay to start it, but just make sure you have an evolution. I have another friend, he does a lot of YouTube video stuff about really expensive games and stuff. And you go look at his first video, and I told him, say, all right, just take this $1,000 and go buy you a nice lights and some nice cameras and a nice lens. And it's tremendously made his content 10 times better. So spend your money on good equipment. I'm telling you, it's worth its weight in gold, because so many people now are looking at YouTube videos outside of not looking at stuff on cable. I don't watch TV that much. I watch 100%. Well, I'll say 100%, but I watch a lot of YouTube, and I really do think if you take time and spend your money wisely on good equipment, your YouTube will take off.
Yeah, such great tips. And we're talking about setting yourself up for success. If possible, set up your audio, your lighting, the place you film ahead of time, so that saves time. Maybe make a dedicated place in your house. But Dr. Anna, you talk about batching. You said that batching is a must. How do you define batching and break down what you've learned here?
Yeah, I think I first came into the idea of batching from the VRA program. And the concept is pretty simple. It's understanding what are the different steps to make a video, and recognizing, okay, if you want to make what amount of time do you need to produce the next 4 videos? If, okay, you're doing 1 video a week, that's the amount of content you want to produce in a month. So with every video, you have pretty much the same steps to get to that place. First, you have to come up with the idea. So that usually is the title itself, sometimes even the thumbnail idea. Then you have to script it out. I actually script out full sentences. It's just helpful to me, but some people do bullet points. Okay, then you actually need to record yourself in front of a camera. And then you need to edit it. And if you are editing it yourself, like I was in the beginning, that is the most time consuming part. And then of course you have to publish it. So what I recognized was, okay, every video requires these same steps. And some of them obviously take longer than others, like editing is probably the bulk of the time. And so if you're doing everything yourself, like I was in the beginning, plan the next, 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 videos all at the same time, so that every time you're moving through that process in a linear fashion, you're doing it for more than 1 video at a time. So instead of coming up with 1 title idea and then jumping into making 1 script, Instead, I was coming up with at least 4 to even 8 title ideas, and then I would decide which of those 8 are the 4 that I'm going to fully script out. And it would take a full day to kind of do that. Not a full day, but these are my evenings after work. And then when you record, plan out, okay, it's going to take a couple hours, but I'm going to record 4 videos at once. And then you slowly edit them and publish them over those weeks. It saves more time than you can even imagine.
We patched up a plan to make Easter even better. Snickers satisfies.
As trainers, we work together with our Pokemon to reach new heights. Discover powerful bonds in the Pokemon trading card game Scarlet and Violet, Journey Together. Available now. Each booster pack of 10 cards sold separately. Cards vary by pack.
This job at Movember opened up, which is a global charity dedicated to men's health. I had an opportunity to parlay some of my crypto philanthropy experience, and it just felt like serendipity.
So brilliant. And tell me, back when you started, you mentioned you were doing everything. What camera, what video editing software, how did you learn it? And then what is your process for video editing and shooting today?
Wow, it's been an evolution. So I started with my iPhone 14 and I was doing everything by myself. My very first videos, I actually made them private on YouTube because I find them kind of embarrassing, but fun to look at later when I recognize how far I've come. And then per my husband's recommendation, I bought for $20 a string microphone to attach to my shirt, and then it plugged into my phone. And then I leveled myself up and got a ring light rather than just propping my phone up. So now I had my setup. It was my phone shooting it in, pro tip, if you have an iPhone, instead of just regular video mode, go to cinematic mode because it automatically makes the background a little bit blurry. And I noticed that made my videos pop a lot. So that was my setup. It was plug in $20 microphone, $25 ring light with the phone holder, and then my iPhone, which I had anyway. And then I was editing everything on CapCut. I did buy the pro version. I think it was like $75 for the year. And I was doing it all myself. And it was exhausting. And then finally my husband was like, I gotta figure out how to do editing so I can help you out. And then he got pretty good and he got Final Cut Pro. I think that was our first like level up moment where we kind of invested money. And so we had our new software and he was helping me out. And now we actually are paying editors that we found on Fiverr. Only started doing that a month ago. It is the biggest time saver that I'm sure you can imagine because that was the most time consuming part. And now that's completely offloaded onto other people. So I can just focus on making more videos, better videos, and then all the marketing, all the other parts of the seminar system that kind of come at the end.
Man, drop some fire in the chat for that breakdown and those tips. And I love this because I know there's so much information we're getting here in the challenge, but I want to encourage you, like, it's all about getting 1% better with every upload. And as Steve was talking about, like, start with whatever you have, Dr. Anna, start with whatever you have, but imagine and dream about how you can improve over time. And then maybe a partner or a friend or a spouse gets involved and you can just start on your phone editing, but then eventually you could delegate that to somebody else. And so it's all a process, which brings us to tip number 3, which is energy management and time management is important. And so really today's session is all about time management, productivity, maybe scheduling, batch producing content. But we're going to start with Steve because there's this whole other side where YouTube takes emotional energy, physical strength. And some of the tips you wrote was you even talked about kind of like being in the mood to create content and even practical stuff like making sure you eat. So talk a little bit about this, about not just your time management, but your energy management.
You have to know what type of person you are. I'm a night owl. I know this. So I take advantage of that. I make and edit my best content after 6 o'clock. And that's good for me too, because this is how I guess I give you a little behind the scenes how I make my content. And before I get this started, I know a lot of people in the chat was talking about what is a stream deck. If I can pull this up really quick, this is pulling stuff over, but this is a stream deck right here by Elgato. It's kind of dusty, but it's really helpful. You can put a lot of little stuff on there, like your likes, and then like for video game stuff, you can put like little sound stuff like that. If you know what that is from, you're cool. But yes, knowing your moods. I'm a night person. If you're a night person, do it. If you're a morning person and jump up and do it, great. Make sure you have energy. Make sure you eat. I know, like eating, oh my goodness. And also your mental health. This is super important. Know the days that you can't make content, but have some backups ready. But don't beat yourself up if you can't make content for that week. I think as content creators, we beat ourselves up because we see all these people making these videos and getting these millions of views and getting these subscribers. Run your race, okay? Know your body. Pray. And I know a lot of Christian faith-based people out there, talk to God about this. Like, I can't get out of bed today. I'm going to take a chill, but don't beat yourself up. Your mental health is important. I always say, protect your brand. And when you protect your brand, that means protecting your peace, protecting your mind, make sure you eat healthy. Hey, get some coffee, have some coffee, have an energy drink, get some good food like the doctor was saying. Make sure you look at her channel, get some great eating tips, work out. You only get this vessel once. This is your only body you get. Make good of it. If you can't make videos for 2 weeks, that's okay. Use your community page. You know how great the community page is? I went to Japan last year and I'm going back, but I really wanted to stream live in Japan. I couldn't, so I just got on my community page and had conversations with my audience, and they understood. Your audience will be there. But I stress you guys, mental health is important. Know your body, know what you can do, know your limits. Don't push yourself. I got to get a video out. If you can't get it out, that's okay. If you can get half video done and then half done next week, it's okay. Your audience loves you. They will be there. Do not compare yourself with other people. I'm telling you guys, it's so important. I've been through this. That's how I can tell you. I've been through this. It's no joke. But have fun while you're doing it also.
Try crunchy, melty Reese toasted chips.
Discover must-have spring dresses for $20 at Target.
Are you texting? I'm shopping for a car on CarMax.
A car?
Are you
sure you can afford that?
That's a big purchase. Relax. I got pre-qualified and shopped by my monthly budget, so I know it's a good decision. Unlike Jenny's new piercing.
Man, I love this particular tip, and I'm excited to hear from Dr. Anno coming with the real wisdom too here. Like, it's your specialty. But I also think about this for you, you personally. It's not just about time management. It's also about energy management. So what are some tips for us in this category?
Oh, wow. This is just such a perfect segue. I feel like I was back here clapping for Mr. Right Way, your amazing answer. Yeah. Stamina is a factor that I think is really underrated when it comes to productivity and feeling good in life. What is stamina? It's like the ability to be able to sustain energy for a long period of time. And so the way I always think about this is like I think about a soldier going into training or a battle or whatever. The goal is not to do a sprint and just get done something that's in the next hour. You got to maintain yourself for a way longer than that. And you got to maintain your ability to kind of keep yourself together. So when it comes to filming and making videos, I recognized that the part that was the most energy consuming for me was, of course, the filming. I need, especially with what I'm trying to do on my channel, I'm trying to get people motivated to take care of their diet and their health and feel excited about eating well. So I have to have high energy in my videos, and I also am an energetic person. So I can tell you, I have had to refilm a couple of times. The recording went just fine. The audio sounded good. My face was like, I was exhausted, and I could see that. And this is kind of the downside of batching. If you are going to be recording 4 or 5 or even 6 videos in the same day, you got to kind of prepare for that. Like you would prepare for something serious in your life. And so I needed to recalibrate. And there have been so many times where I planned on recording 4 or 5 or 6 videos, and I get to the end of the 3rd and I'm like, you know what? That's it for today. And that's okay. And like, that's exactly what you guys were just hearing about a couple of minutes ago. Like the ability to have that like introspection and that self-awareness to know when you've reached your maximum. It's a good thing to know when to say no to yourself, because the goal is not to just get it done today. You got tomorrow, you got next week. And like content creation is a long game. And so having that long-term trajectory with each step is going to also make it more enjoyable for you if you don't try to like cram it out. And you've seen people on YouTube are like making these trendy videos now of like why they're quitting YouTube. Like you don't have to be that way. It doesn't have to go that way for you. So know that there's always a choice with how to approach all of this stuff.
Man, I'm getting so inspired because also these are some of the lesser talked about topics related to YouTube. And, you know, when I think about our community and the VRA community, like I want to link arms with people that can not just help us do YouTube, succeed on YouTube, but also last over the long haul. We're going to need wisdom. We're going to need routines. We're going to need rhythms. And I've also learned now with a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old that seasons change, and sometimes you need a new playbook for a new game. And this whole parenting thing. And I heard that having 1 kid is like having 1 kid, and having 2 is having 5. So that's kind of what's happening at our house. My wife's downstairs right now. Chaos. This morning, Sean Bradley and John Stephen were like wrestling on a rocking chair and like fell over, and we got a fat lip, and they're like punching each other. And so we're like, here we are. And we're together right now, and my wife's amazing. But what's the point? Man, energy management and time management. That's going to be the engine. And I love that definition of stamina, which brings us to tip number 4, which is work harder, work smarter, not just harder. We're going to go back to Dr. Anna. And there was a lot of nuggets I pulled out of your tips here. But one of the ones, you could break this down however you want, but you talked about how sometimes you think you got to come up with new stuff all the time, and actually repeating yourself is okay. Not only that, people need to know, or they maybe haven't seen your video before. And the way you put it is you don't need to come up with as many new ideas actually as you think. So talk a little bit about how that point and anything else on work smarter, not just harder.
Yeah, this is a phrase that came into my life in a really foundational way when I had to study for my medical board exam. And that's basically a summative exam of everything I learned in medical school. And the stakes are really high. And so the way people do that well without killing themselves, basically, is that they have to have a smart plan and kind of execute with strategy so that they don't burn out. So I realized the same is absolutely true for making a channel. And this was actually something I directly got from Sean Cannell's team and the whole VRA program, is the idea of making a content marathon. So what's that? That's where you take a few of your previously posted videos that are probably still live. You kind of either chop them up or combine them in a way where you film the hook so it looks like it's a new video when somebody clicks on it, because it's fresh. And then maybe you film something in between each of the previous segments, so that could be previous comments that you got on those videos, or it could just be like a new voiceover of saying, and now we're going to turn our attention to blank. So I did this. Actually, at the time, my husband's going to kill me for saying this, but he thought it was going to be a bad idea, because it's literally reposting videos that were already up there. Like, it's not new. And I said, I don't know. VRA says that this is like a cool strategy, like a nice, fresh way to repost a video without having to make one. And so this was during the Christmas week. We posted our first content marathon. It was December 27th. And it is like the thing that has kind of taken us to the next level by like the nth degree. It has just exploded our channel from a content marathon. It's not even I didn't really refilm anything. I just filmed like 20 seconds at the beginning saying, hey guys, like these are all the different meal ideas you can have on the Mediterranean diet. But guess what? The breakfast video, the lunch video, the dinner video, the snacks and the dessert videos were already on my channel, and they all did like medium okay, and this one has just blown up. So you will surprise yourself with what works. And sometimes you put all this effort into a video, you think it's going to blow up, and like just doesn't land. But rest assured, there's always a way to kind of repurpose stuff or repackage it in a smart way, without having to start from scratch. And so I kind of have, beyond like making that content marathon, I derived a lot of lessons from that doing well. And it's that, okay, I do need to kind of repeat certain concepts from one video to another. If the first video did well, it's probably going to do well again the second time. So I have a video about like breakfast ideas on the Mediterranean diet. Okay, I ended up talking about a lot of sweet tasting foods. So I made basically a mirror one, but instead of sweet, it was savory breakfast ideas. And that one also did well. So you can kind of get the idea, like it depends on your niche, but you can come up with video ideas without coming up with new video ideas, if that makes sense. Yep, there it is, savory breakfast, that's the one. Like 9,000 views, that's one of my better videos. I didn't really put that much thought into it. So yes, it's kind of the journey.
This is so inspiring because we're talking about work smarter, not just harder. And YouTube takes hard work, no doubt about it. It takes discipline, managing your energy. But I am so inspired because, there's nobody else that's ever taught content marathons. It's literally, I think on the internet or across other channels, it's one of the most underrated strategies. And to be clear, we can't go into the whole thing, but in VRA Masters, Video Ranking Academy Masters, there's 16 different content formats and strategies. And sometimes we get stuck in like one rut, realizing like there's a lot of different plays in the playbook that you can execute. And what Dr. Anna was sharing there is her most viewed video is a content marathon, which basically is stitching together strategically previous videos that she had made. And talk about working smarter, not harder. Some hard work went up front. But then you post it and you almost feel like, oh, this is almost too simple and too easy. But then the compound effect there and it's pretty wild. So anyways, again, that is one of those things that's inside of Video Ranking Academy. But I want to ask Mr. Rightway, Steve, you've been doing this long enough to know that, wow, I did it, a certain way. Mm-hmm. And now I realize that was kind of the hard way. Here's like the smart way I do it now. Any inspiration that comes off this tip, work smarter, not just harder?
And I thought you were about to go and say, what's the right way? You had a chance to take it right there.
Dance.
In my genre, it's a little different because with video games and collectors like a certain style or a certain topic. So for instance, I'm doing this thing called the PlayStation Pursuit, where I'm going to collect this certain type of video game or collection of video games. And I have those like not episodes, but different places. And they do good. But I have sometimes some people come who are very new, who haven't seen that. So I will like stitch all of the best parts together, and then people can watch that. Almost like I kind of put those. I have one in the can right now that I'm going to put out where I'm making it searchable, making that video searchable because I've seen people looking for this certain topic. So basically I say, okay, if I see somebody looking for a topic, I'm going to make a video based on that. But I already had the video, but maybe they haven't found it. So if I work hard, put all that video together and put that just for them, when they search in Google, it pops right up. Now, if you do type in like PlayStation, if you go on Google right now, and it's pretty cool. If you type in, what is it? I'm trying to think of it. PlayStation Greatest Hits. You will see some of my videos pop up. So, and I was like, all right, PlayStation Greatest Hits. And then you'll see, boom, you'll see Steve Right. You'll see Mr. Rightway. And this is he right here. You like see right there. So That's what I'm trying to do. It's not as a popular topic, but a lot of collectors don't go after something like this. But that's what I'm trying to do, and it's like for the collectors. So I tell my group and stuff, like I said, make videos, evergreen. And this is an evergreen video because I know how collecting goes, and I've seen it just from Nintendo to the NES, from like Sega all the way to now. I see how that is. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna take that knowledge and I'm gonna put it in a video, and boom. Years later, they might find it. I don't know when it will go off. Like, I had 3 or 4 of these videos just pop off, and I made it like 2 years ago. I'm like, okay. So it's basically just, that's my advice on it,
Yeah, that's genius. And what I love there too is what you heard is in certain niches, things are a little bit different. So you might be watching this and wondering, hey, can these tips work for me if I'm an entertainment channel or if I'm a vlogging channel? Maybe if you also are a health or recipes channel, you're like, okay, it's kind of obvious how I could do what Dr. Anna's doing. But even as Steve was breaking down, he's like, it's a little bit different for my channel on the videos I'm making. However, he's like, there was a certain vertical I figured out, PlayStation Greatest Hits. And those were evergreen. And those evergreen videos, what does evergreen mean if we're new to that term? I grew up in Seattle, born in Seattle, and we have what's called evergreen trees here. So whether it's summer, spring, winter, fall, the trees are green year round. And so an evergreen video is a video that can get views and can rank year round. But what's powerful, right, is that can keep bringing you viewers. So just for those that have been joining VRA and thinking about that system, one of the things to know is you don't have to do every video the same way, or 100% of your videos don't have to be search-based or evergreen. But we really recommend that some are, and even as many as possible, because the more evergreen ranked videos you have, the more people that are discovering you, subscribing to you. And then if you just do a live stream, if you do something else, if you do something that's more personal, well, now you actually have an audience there, and you have a new audience discovering you all the time. So again, it's not about knowing just one play. I think another way that I like to say it is, it's like if you're going to build a house, you don't just use one tool. You've got a nail gun in a certain situation, a saw in a certain situation. You want to make sure you have a level to solve that problem. You want to recommend that you've got a sander to solve another problem. And so we really, inside of our program, we're going to help you get all of the tools to think about solving these different problems. And so inspiring. And I'll move past tip number 5. Number 4 was work smarter, not harder. Number 5 was smart strategies and systems save time. Things like batching, shooting multiple videos at once, researching ahead of time. Things like content marathons, like knowing particular tools like how to do content marathons are going to save you time over the year. But let's skip to number 6 now. It's keep it simple and stack successful videos. If you're ready to get serious about starting and growing a successful YouTube channel, then you're going to love VRApodcast.com. For a limited time, we have a special sale happening on our YouTube course and coaching membership that includes the online course, the 80-page workbook, and access to the private community. Inside of this program, you have everything you need for starting a successful YouTube channel all in one place. You get access to checklists and resources that will save you time, reduce stress, and help you reach your YouTube goals faster. But also, the most powerful part is the community. It's not just other creators and entrepreneurs that are ambitious and reaching for their goals, but it's also the Think Media faculty that's in your corner, answering your questions and helping you stay motivated on your journey to YouTube success. And for a limited time, we are running a big sale at VRApodcast.com. So if you want to check it out, just click the link in the show notes or go to VRApodcast.com. All right, let's get back into the episode. Now, one of the things, Dr. Anna, that you said was you talked about clarity is better than creativity. I'm curious what you mean by that, and break that down a little bit.
Yep. So you have to think of YouTube audiences as people who are coming to, well, there's really 2 ways that people come to YouTube. One is people are coming because they are trying to figure something out that's usually pretty specific. So it's like, what kind of a light bulb do I need for this lamp? Or what kind of, cleaner product should I use for grease on the wood floor? So that's really specific stuff. But a lot of the time, now that we have these smart TVs and people are watching YouTube like on the couch on their big screen, people are coming to relax. And that doesn't mean you have to think of making videos as, oh, I have to entertain people. No, people feel relaxed by learning something, but you also have to approach it in kind of a relaxed way. And so what I recognized was the content that I was making that was absolutely by far getting the best hits, like the algorithm was just pumping it the most, were the most simple things that I was talking about. If I tried to start incorporating like all the research behind the Mediterranean diet and like why it's so beneficial for our health in terms of its decreased risk for cardiovascular disease and stroke, and it's better for diabetes, like I was losing people in the weeds, and those videos really just tanked. And I recognized like, okay, the recipes when I was actually cooking or giving like breakfast ideas, like that's the stuff that really stuck. And I realized like, okay, I just need to have a really simple purpose for making this video, and I need my message to be simple, and that has to come through with the title and the thumbnail, because otherwise like it's just too complicated. And what I mean by stacking successful videos, so recognizing the patterns of like, okay, this thing, it's simple and that's probably why it's sticking. I should probably like follow that path and do more things similar. So what the videos are that are inside that content marathon that I did that worked really well, it didn't start with even having a plan to make that video. It was, I just wanted to make a video about healthy breakfast. And because that video did so well so quickly, I was like, oh, I can stack that idea and I can make a lunch one. And then I realized that one did well too. So I just decided, okay, I'm going to make dinner, snacks, and desserts. And the idea for that content marathon later of smushing them all together and reposting it came even later. And so just following like the results that you're getting from YouTube analytics is going to drive your direction sometimes. And you do have to kind of trust the process. Like it can be scary because I'm like, this wasn't my plan. Like I wanted to empower people with all of the data behind this diet. It's like, you know, people just want to know what to eat for dinner. And so I had to kind of reel it back and like, I'm a doctor. I don't have to be a doctor in every sense of that word. I can also just be a person with my viewers, and people respond better to that than you think, to be honest.
So good. And Steve, let's kick it over to number 7 here. Personalize the VRA system to your life and your goals. So grateful that y'all have been a part of VRA and a part of our community, and iron sharpens iron, because even in an environment like this, we're learning how we take like the system, but then you apply it a certain way. And we'll talk to Dr. Anna in a second. There was an R that she actually kind of was able to skip because she's having success without it. And so we'll learn about that in just a second. But for you, how did kind of going through that, maybe getting some ideas, but then also personalizing some of those tips to your particular channel, what are some of your thoughts there?
I wasn't afraid to fail, basically. I think, and that's the biggest thing I got out of it, because I noticed it's this perception that everybody has to succeed on YouTube. If you don't get so many views, you're a failure. And a lot of people forget that you gotta just have fun with it. And like for my life goals, I'm like, if you see here in the background, a big YouTube button back here. And now I got this personally from YouTube when they had selected me last year. I was part of their last program for Black content creators, YouTube Black, and that just came out. No, I just filled it out, and boom, it happened. And that was such a huge blessing. But at one of the conferences, we was in Nairobi, and they had these, and these YouTube buttons. I said, you know what? I'm going to take one of these, and I'm putting that right there, and my silver play button is going to go right there one day. So, like I said, I'm always about pre-visualization. I'm always looking ahead. But also, too, I take YouTube seriously, but I don't take it seriously because I think it's a privilege. I have fun. I try to help. I try to just relax and have fun with it. It's a joy doing this. My career in the military ended, so I had to find something to do, and that's another thing. As a man, you need something to do. You just can't just sit around and okay, what I'm going to do. So I went to YouTube, and this is gave me such new life, and just hidden goals. Okay, I wanted to get 50,000 next and then 100. I see those goals. Making good goals and stuff like that. But also, I make sure I think I heard you say this when it says people used to say practice makes perfect, but it's perfect practice makes perfect. And I always try to practice perfect on everything I do for my life, video. I'm not a script person. If you can hear me talk right now, I do not go in no script. I just off the cuff, just like that. I guess it's a good gift that God gave me, but I just do that. And I guess you could say the lessons in VRA, I apply that and just kind of tweak them to myself and stuff. That's the way I tweak it and stuff. I just want to say, guys, just have fun. Don't take it super duper seriously, but take it seriously. Understand, look on the back end and stuff. Also, don't be afraid to get help. Oh my goodness, that's a big thing. If you get help, ask people, and also ask people who don't watch YouTube is a big thing too. Like, if you got some people say, all right, hey, check this thumbnail out. What do you think about it? And don't take it too personal. Also, don't take anything personal because this is our baby. And sometimes we're like, well, you don't like it. Well, I suck the credit. No, you don't. You just like, it's more than that. So yeah, I can go on that, but that's how I make it in my life. So
yeah, such valuable insights. And Dr. Anna, you shared something specific in relation to how you went through the VRA system. What was the benefit you found there? But also you found specifically on that Rocket R, which we teach, depending on what happens once you release the video, you can go on social media and promote it places and send it to your email list and do all this stuff. And you actually kind of found an insight that works for you. So break that down of how you personalize the system.
Yeah. Great question. And I'm going to kind of break it up in two parts. So first, what did VRA give me? I needed structure. I didn't have that. I was every video kind of bouncing around topics. I was like, okay, one video, I'm going to make it about diet. The next one was about sleep tips. And the other one was about how to boost your immune system. And not only was that confusing to me, I didn't really have a focus. I was clearly confusing the algorithm. And this is something that I learned. It's you do need to feed the algorithm with what your topic is about your channel for it to really give that to the right people. And so I was getting stuck because I didn't have the wherewithal to appreciate how does the whole system work together. So VRA gave me a structure for how to approach it. And then the results just kind of came naturally from there. So I was like, okay, they obviously know what they're talking about. They've been doing this for a while. But to your second question, what about my process did I do that worked and what stuff wasn't working for me? So part of the VRA system, it's how you take from a video idea all the way to blast it out to the ether, all over the internet. And I was finding that my focus on trying to go from my long videos, clip out the shorts, go into CapCut, edit them with a higher level of editing detail, because that's what people like on shorts, and then pump that to TikTok and Facebook Reels and Instagram Reels and YouTube Shorts. I was getting really distracted by that. And this is something that this is not just about content creation. This is in life. We have to be really careful to not listen too much to the results, especially on a platform like TikTok. It's just a dopamine overload. And so I was like, oh my gosh, this video got 300 views in the first 30 minutes. At the time I had 25 people on YouTube subscribe to me. I was so stoked. But recognize that there's totally different kinds of audiences that go to those other social media platforms than a YouTube audience. So I was getting really distracted by all those other social platforms. And I'm so glad I was kind of doing this whole thing with my husband. He recognized that. He was like, we need to just focus. What do you want out of this? And I was like, I want a YouTube channel that people can keep coming back to and learn from. And he was like, okay, why don't we just stop doing shorts or reels altogether? We don't need to pump this right now. And if I didn't decide to pause that other stuff, I definitely would not have the results I have now, because it allowed me to just bare bones get down to what did I have to do to just make long form videos really well. And it allowed me to focus on that. And as we were kind of saying throughout this whole session, YouTube, it's not hard. It's not like being a surgeon, but it's also not easy. You don't want to overestimate like what it's going to take to do something well. Like the people you see that have like huge audiences, like A, they didn't start with those big audiences. They all started at zero and they learned over time. But B, what they're doing now is all a result of everything else that they did before that wasn't working. And these are the things that did work. And that's what they stuck with over time. So you need to recognize that, like, when you're getting into this, especially in the beginning, you got to have that grace with yourself to be like, not judging yourself, because those people have been doing it for a while and they've already troubleshot and kind of learned from their mistakes and cut out the things that weren't